Negli ultimi anni sempre più il processo di globalizzazione ha portato le aziende a rivolgersi a mercati esteri, sia per scambi commerciali e sia per cogliere nuove opportunità. Confindustria è consapevole che l'internazionalizzazione negli ultimi anni non solo è diventata sempre più un'opportunità di crescita per le aziende, ma proprio un cammino, un percorso indispensabile per la propria sopravvivenza di ciascuna azienda. Recenti studi, anche fatti dal Sole 24 Ore, hanno sottolineato che, pur vivendo in una crisi globale abbastanza pesante ormai e che si sta prolungando molto più di quelle che erano le aspettative iniziali, le aziende che esportano, le aziende che lavorano con l'estero stanno andando in controtendenza, per cui alcune riescono a tenere le stesse performance degli anni precedenti ed altre addirittura riescono a migliorare andando appunto controtendenza. Proprio consapevoli di questa necessità che l'azienda sia sempre più pronta a rivolgersi a mercati internazionali, Confindustria Ancona supporta in questo cammino dando consulenza tecnica, consulenza legale a tutte le problematiche inerenti all'import e l'export. E questo come lo fa? Lo fa sia dedicando una persona della struttura, che è il dottor Umberto Martelli, che siede in questo tavolo insieme a me, e sia allacciando una rete di conoscenze e di scambi con avvocati sia nazionali e sia internazionali. Fanno parte di questa rete di avvocati anche lo studio Bacciardi, con il quale abbiamo organizzato negli ultimi 2 anni numerosi incontri sia nel campo della contrattualistica internazionale sia nel campo dell'imposizione fiscale internazionale. È chiaro che quando un'azienda deve allacciare dei rapporti con un mercato estero, le problematiche che deve affrontare sono numerose, vanno dalla conoscenza culturale alla conoscenza contrattuale alla conoscenza fiscale, perché poi la maniera con cui un'azienda si può affacciare a un mercato estero può essere diversa. Si può passare dal sistema più blando, che è una semplice vendita, a un sistema invece più strutturato, che potrebbe essere l'apertura di una sede secondaria o di una filiale proprio. Per cui è chiaro che le tipologie e gradi di difficoltà a secondo delle decisioni che vengono prese sono diverse. Confindustria Ancona, tra l'altro, oltre che dare consulenze e assistenza sulle varie problematiche tecniche, organizza anche in partnership con altri enti, organismi tipo regioni, altre associazioni industriali, missioni e fiere all'estero, e poi tiene i contatti con gli organismi internazionali di maggiore importanza tipo i consolati, le ambasciate e le camere di commercio. Ritornando alla giornata di oggi, come dicevo, si affronteranno le problematiche inerenti agli appalti internazionali. E è chiaro che un'azienda che vuole aggredire il mercato estero e poi poter partecipare a una gara internazionale e quindi avere una presenza su un mercato, già quando si parla d'appalto internazionale sicuramente una presenza più incisiva rispetto alla vendita spot, ha bisogno di un supporto normativo e legale e fiscale a 360 gradi. E la giornata di quest'oggi si prefigge apposto appunto di fare un quadro su quello che sono tutte le problematiche. A riguardo il mio ringraziamento allo studio Bacciardi, agli avvocati Enzo e Lorenzo Bacciardi, all'avvocato Gelfi e agli avvocati esteri che interverranno durante la giornata, nell'ordine l'avvocato Brand, l'avvocato Zabi e l'avvocato Orlandi. Io, con la speranza che questa giornata sia di vostro gradimento e soprattutto proficua, auguro a tutti buon lavoro.
Buongiorno a tutti.
E passo la parola all'avvocato Enzo Bacciardi. La cosa più importante.
Ho usurpato la parola unicamente per guadagnare tempo. Allora, buongiorno di nuovo a tutti e diamo corso ai lavori di oggi. Come già stato anticipato, i lavori di oggi sono divisi in diversi segmenti e vi anticipo brevemente la successione delle attività che faremo oggi. Nella antimeridiana stamattina faremo una carrellata abbastanza estesa, fra l'altro, di tutte le possibilità, le modalità, possibilità, procedure per acquisire gli appalti internazionali, e ve ne parleremo io e il dottor Martelli, illustrandovi soprattutto dei canali di acquisizione di appalti, ormai tutti reperibili tramite internet. Poi avremo invece una importante sezione dedicata ai colleghi stranieri. I colleghi stranieri sono stati selezionati in riferimento a quelle che sono le 3 principali aree geografiche di mercato nelle quali c'è un'economia crescente e dalle quali provengono principalmente gli appalti, le gare di appalto, le commesse in appalto. E sono nell'ordine l'Iraq, la Russia e il Brasile. Nella parte pomeridiana invece analizzeremo gli aspetti più tecnici relativi alle modalità di contrattualizzazione del rapporto di appalto e a tutti gli adempimenti di natura fiscale, di natura doganale che devono essere espletati per la realizzazione di un progetto di appalto. Bene, prima tuttavia di entrare nel merito dei lavori, entrare effettivamente nei lavori, ritengo opportuno che si porga un saluto in debita forma ai nostri ospiti, avvocati stranieri e relatori oggi al nostro seminario, i quali rappresentano, a mio avviso, e potrete poi valutare anche voi, il vero valore aggiunto del seminario che oggi teniamo. Quindi, dicevo, un attimo prima di entrare nei lavori, Lorenzo, ti prego di porgere il saluto ai nostri graditi ospiti.
Good morning to everyone. We just wanted to take this opportunity to thank again our dear guests because they took the time to come and they undertook a great effort to come along. You surely can appreciate the fact that they come far away. And so we wanted to thank you very much for coming, for the effort, and for the added value that you will bring to our seminar. And we look forward to hearing what you have to say about your country and the opportunities that are there. And we wish you a good rest of the seminar. And hopefully you could enjoy it with us. Thank you.
Ora partiamo. Come abbiamo detto, analizzeremo principalmente stamattina le modalità di acquisizione degli appalti. Diciamo in apertura, facciamo una breve premessa in apertura sugli appalti. Il canale degli appalti non è sufficientemente apprezzato dagli imprenditori, almeno dalla base, dalla massa degli imprenditori. In quanto? Qual è la motivazione? In parte questo canale non è sufficientemente conosciuto, in parte è ritenuto un canale di difficile approccio. Ora, queste due considerazioni che generalmente sono ritenute dagli imprenditori sono, a mio avviso e ad avviso di molti tecnici del settore, errate. Perché sono errate? Perché noi oggi abbiamo la possibilità di avere piena e totale tempestiva informazione sulla presenza di gare di appalto abbiamo la capacità di organizzare in maniera molto più semplificata la procedura di partecipazione agli appalti e abbiamo quindi la possibilità di eseguirli. Purtroppo dobbiamo dare anche in questo riferimento, dobbiamo dare un dato. Il dato è che a livello comunitario europeo l'Italia figura purtroppo nelle famose classifiche molto in basso nell'elenco delle altre nazioni come nazione in grado di acquisire e gestire appalti. Ma questo, a mio avviso, è dovuto principalmente ad una errata considerazione, un'errata cultura, un errato approccio all'appalto che deve essere, a mio avviso, assolutamente modificato. Perché deve essere modificato? Perché il canale degli appalti oggi è uno dei più importanti canali di successo nell'ambito dell'internazionalizzazione. E io ripeto ancora una volta, perché questa immagine è diffusa e mi piace ripeterla comunque proprio a scopo didattico, esemplificativo, finché l'imprenditore italiano continua ad andare all'estero con la valigetta e il catalogo e crede in questa maniera di combattere la battaglia dell'internazionalizzazione e di ottenere dei successi, sarà sempre l'ultimo della graduatoria. Occorre identificare i canali evoluti, i canali più potenziali e avere la capacità di gestire queste armi più potenti, se vogliamo una riuscita. Bene, vediamo perché abbiamo detto che non è vero che come una volta esistono difficoltà nell'avere informazioni e nel partecipare alla procedura per l'assegnazione e l'aggiudicazione di tender. È vero che in passato, prima dell'avvento di Internet, c'era una certa difficoltà ad acquisire le informazioni necessarie per partecipare in tempo utile, partecipare in maniera positiva ad un tender. È vero anche che le informazioni circolavano un po' in canali riservati, in circuiti riservati, qualche volta tendevano a privilegiare alcuni settori, ma oggi la situazione è cambiata. Vediamo perché. Innanzitutto diciamo quali sono gli organismi internazionali principali che gestiscono, promuovono, emanano, indicano gare di appalto. Ecco, sono principalmente gli organismi finanziari e quindi citiamo la Banca Mondiale, la Banca Europea per gli investimenti, la Banca Europea per la ricostruzione e sviluppo, altre banche internazionali di sviluppo. Inoltre, come vediamo nella slide successiva, esistono anche enti governativi centrali e periferici e autorità regionali e locali. Cioè, molti enti governativi statali ricevono peraltro finanziamenti da parte di quegli enti finanziari internazionali, finanziamenti dedicati per la realizzazione di opere, di strutture, mediante gare di appalto, mediante l'assegnazione dell'opera a un'impresa o più imprese selezionate in base a gare di appalto. E allora, passando oltre, vedete in questa slide, vi abbiamo già immediatamente identificato quali sono le piattaforme informative, i canali informativi, il luogo di accesso all'informazione sulla esistenza di appalti internazionali. A questo proposito va detto che la Comunità Europea, ma come la Comunità Europea anche altri organismi internazionali, prevedono che tutti gli appalti che vengono indetti dagli organismi istituzionali governativi o tutti gli appalti che sono finanziati da questi organismi finanziari internazionali debbono essere obbligatoriamente pubblicizzati e la pubblicizzazione prevede la pubblicazione di tutti questi appalti nella Gazzetta Ufficiale dell'Unione Europea, oltre che la pubblicazione obbligatoria in determinati siti internet. I siti internet ai quali facciamo riferimento sono quelli che voi vedete nella slide e che adesso prenderemo in esame per farvi capire come utilizzarli per l'acquisizione delle informazioni. Ecco, fra queste vedete per prima abbiamo indicato la piattaforma Extender. Sulla piattaforma Extender vi parlerà adesso il dottor Martelli, in quanto la piattaforma Extender è una struttura partecipata dall'Organizzazione Confindustriale Nazionale in posizione prevalente e che è veicolata ed opera anche attraverso le sedi locali, territoriali di Confindustria. Poi parleremo della EBRD, la European Bank of the Reconstruction and Development, che è più propriamente la BERS, quella detta in francese, l'acronimo in francese, la Banca Europea di Ricostruzione e Sviluppo. Questa ulteriore struttura, la TED, Tender Electronics Daily, è un database, una base di dati organizzata con le informazioni provenienti principalmente dalla Gazzetta Ufficiale della Unione Europea. Poi li vediamo analiticamente uno per uno. Ci sono ancora altri due siti molto importanti, che è questo Development Business e Informest Consulting. Prima di dare la parola al dottor Martelli voglio ancora precisare che un ruolo molto importante, un'attività molto importante al fine di reperire informazioni utili e utilizzabili sugli appalti è quella di monitorare i siti internet degli enti appaltanti. Perché questo? Perché oltre al tender pubblicato, quando il tender viene pubblicato, il tender è completo, è emanato. Ma oltre al tender pubblicato, in questi siti degli enti appaltanti ci sono informazioni importantissime, informazioni relative alla preparazione di tender, all'assegnazione di opere oppure alla negoziazione internazionale di flussi finanziari da questi enti finanziari internazionali a determinati stati, destinati, come dicevo prima, a opere da gestire in appalto. Quindi avere l'informazione tempestivamente permette di beneficiare notevolmente e aumentare notevolmente la possibilità di accedere a agli appalti. Facciamo l'esempio molto semplice: sapendo che una certa opera deve essere costruita in un determinato paese, l'azienda può non solo prepararsi per accedere all'appalto, ma può anche prepararsi, organizzarsi per agire in qualità di subappaltatore, subcontractor, nei confronti di qualsiasi altra azienda altra impresa che sarà assegnataria, soprattutto quando le dimensioni delle imprese, un po' come le dimensioni delle nostre imprese, non sono tali da poter gestire in prima come main contractor, come appaltatore principale, un appalto internazionale, può invece accedere in qualità di subappaltatore acquisendo e dando esecuzione a segmenti dell'appalto complessivo. Ecco, inoltre, questa è la novità alla quale accennavo prima, la procedura di procurement. La tecnologia internet ha reso possibile gestire la procedura di acquisizione, di sviluppo dell'acquisizione degli appalti attraverso il sistema elettronico. L'intera procedura di presentazione dell'offerta, gestione dei documenti, fornitura di informazioni, allegazione di documenti, eccetera, in molti casi è oggi gestita via internet, cioè molte istituzioni internazionali hanno già ammesso e adottato questa procedura e-procurement che permette di gestire tutta l'operazione a livello internet. Ecco, a questo punto, come precisavo precedentemente, passo la parola al dottor Martelli. Cominciamo a questo punto a presentarvi i vari canali e a darvi indicazioni di come accedere ai vari canali, acquisire informazioni dai vari canali, e cominciamo appunto con la piattaforma Extender che vi verrà esposta dal dottor Martelli.
Grazie Avvocato. Buongiorno a tutti, sono Umberto Martelli, lavoro all'interno dell'area economica di Confindustria Ancona, mi occupo nello specifico di internazionalizzazione, seguo poi anche le attività del consorzio Mark Export che è stato citato dalla dottoressa Gerini e dall'avvocato Bacciardi. È un consorzio export plurisettoriale interno a Confindustria Ancona che fornisce una serie di servizi e assistenza e consulenza alle aziende socie, appunto supportandole nel loro processo di internazionalizzazione. Come ha già accennato la dottoressa Gerini, noi durante l'anno organizziamo tante attività seminariale e di approfondimento tecnico specialistico su appunto tutte le materie del commercio internazionale, principalmente trasporti, pagamenti, contrattualistica, fiscalità, dogane, e organizziamo eventi paese, giornate di approfondimento paese, l'ultimo la settimana scorsa sull'Iran. Per cui ecco, l'incontro di oggi rientra un po' nell'ambito di quell'attività formativa che svolgiamo con continuità durante tutto l'arco dell'anno. Io ho preparato delle slide per farvi conoscere che cos'è Extender e le potenzialità di questa banca dati. Vi porto però prima i saluti del nostro presidente del consorzio Mark Export, che è il signor Sante Cantori, che avrebbe dovuto e avrebbe voluto naturalmente presenziare a questo incontro, però ha avuto degli inconvenienti, quindi è dovuto partire per Milano e non potrà essere presente oggi qui con noi. Prima di passare alle slide vi ricordo soltanto che tutto il materiale che che voi oggi vedrete verrà comunque reso disponibile sul nostro sito web di Confindustria Ancona, che è www.confindustria.an.it. Vi manderemo comunque una mail, quindi a tutte le persone che si erano iscritte manderemo una mail avvertendole appunto che il materiale è sul sito. Chi magari tra voi non si fosse preventivamente iscritto, se magari mi può lasciare un bigliettino da visita in modo che poi possa in qualche modo ricontattarla. Allora, vediamo un attimo la presentazione. Dunque, Extender è di fatto, come diceva già l'avvocato Bacciardi, è una piattaforma informativa, quindi è un sistema informativo completamente gratuito che di fatto raccoglie e naturalmente poi riversa, quindi indirizza a beneficio del sistema imprenditoriale italiano tutta una serie di informazioni relativamente principalmente a gare d'appalto e anticipazioni di grandi progetti che vengono segnalate dalla rete delle istituzioni italiane all'estero. Poi vedremo magari in una slide successiva quali sono gli organismi, le strutture che compongono la rete estera. È un progetto che nasce nel 2003 dalla collaborazione tra il Ministero degli Affari Esteri, Union Camere e Assocamere Estero, quindi l'associazione che raggruppa le camere di commercio italiane all'estero. Poi negli anni successivi, tra il 2005 e il 2009, si sono uniti altri soggetti, in particolare Confindustria, l'ICE e il sistema delle regioni. L'obiettivo principale di Extender è naturalmente quello di promuovere e rafforzare la competitività del sistema imprenditoriale italiano, e lo fa fondamentalmente in due modi, appunto raccogliendo e procedendo poi ad una diffusione mirata di quelle che sono le informazioni e le segnalazioni relativamente a gare di appalto ed early warning su appunto mercati esteri, e favorisce quindi una maggiore integrazione tra le reti italiane all'estero, che di fatto sono le nostre rappresentanze diplomatico-consolari, la rete degli uffici ICE e appunto le camere di commercio italiane all'estero, più altri soggetti, penso ad esempio alle rappresentanze permanenti italiane presso questi organismi multilaterali internazionali, e ovviamente indirizza queste segnalazioni principalmente, ma non sono le uniche destinatarie, lo vedremo poi tra gli utenti, alle imprese, soprattutto quelle piccole e medie, perché magari queste, ecco, non hanno al loro interno una struttura organizzata capace di raccogliere e di elaborare poi in modo sistematico tutte le informazioni che servono invece, soprattutto in un contesto come quello attuale, per essere competitive sui mercati internazionali. Extender veicola sostanzialmente queste informazioni che vedete nella slide, quindi tender per lavori, forniture e servizi, anticipazioni di grandi progetti, quindi progetti che comportano investimenti significativi, processi di privatizzazione, richieste di collaborazione industriale e sono presenti alcuni report settoriali strategici su settori naturalmente appunto strategici per il nostro sistema, e poi ne vedremo alcuni esempi. Ecco, l'early warning qui è una focalizzazione su questo strumento, su questo strumento. Che cosa veicola, che informazioni vengono veicolate attraverso l'early warning? Ma fondamentalmente quelle che sono le strategie di assistenza delle organizzazioni finanziarie internazionali a cui l'avvocato Bacciardi faceva riferimento prima, e quindi fondamentalmente la Banca Mondiale, la Banca Europea per la ricostruzione e lo sviluppo, piuttosto che la Banca Europea degli investimenti, nei confronti dei paesi terzi. Veicola anticipazioni su progetti di cooperazione e programmi di investimento, nel senso che i nostri canali diplomatici, quindi le nostre ambasciate, i nostri consolati, hanno ovviamente rapporti istituzionali con le autorità governative e non dei paesi esteri in cui sono presenti, e quindi da questi contatti riescono a rilevare in anticipo quelle che sono le loro strategie su grandi progetti di investimento, naturalmente, ecco, prima che il tender venga emesso, quindi sapere e conoscere in anticipo se in un certo paese ci sarà o si aprirà a breve un grande progetto di investimento può essere comunque sicuramente utile. Gli altri contenuti vengono forniti quadri aggiornati sui sistemi economici locali e, come dicevo prima, come accennavo, questi rapporti settoriali strategici per il nostro sistema. Sono stati realizzati nel corso degli anni dei rapporti settoriali strategici, ad esempio nel campo delle infrastrutture, sui mercati che vedete, sui paesi che vedete indicati: India, Brasile, Turchia ed Emirati Arabi Uniti. Accennavo prima al fatto che Extender di fatto raccoglie informazioni dalla rete estera e poi le travasa di fatto sugli utenti Extender. Ecco, la rete estera, come vedete, è composta fondamentalmente da quei soggetti, quindi la rete diplomatico-consolare, quindi ambasciate, consolati e le nostre rappresentanze presso gli organismi internazionali, non solo finanziari ma anche ad esempio presso l'ONU o presso altre organizzazioni multilaterali. La rete degli uffici ICE, l'ICE ha una presenza l'ICE è l'Istituto Nazionale Commercio Estero, che ha una presenza molto capillare all'estero, sono credo 90-95 uffici tra uffici e punti di corrispondenza, e poi le camere di commercio italiane all'estero. La rete italiana invece è composta fondamentalmente dal sistema Confindustria e quindi dalle associazioni territoriali come appunto Confindustria Ancona, dalle associazioni di categoria, quindi penso all'ANCI piuttosto che l'ANCE o SMI per quanto riguarda tutte le aziende del settore moda, e i consorzi che aderiscono al circuito nazionale Federexport. E poi ci sono le camere di commercio italiane. Questa è una slide che esemplifica un po' la struttura dei flussi informativi, giusto per farvi capire che appunto dalla rete estera le segnalazioni pervengono all'unità operativa Extender presso il Ministero degli Affari Esteri, che poi informa e segnala agli utenti Extender, e poi c'è questo scambio comunque tra unità operativa e utenti Extender, per cui c'è poi collaborazione di fatto. Diffusione mirata e il matching. Dicevamo prima che uno dei vantaggi, il valore aggiunto di questa piattaforma è che procede ad una diffusione mirata delle informazioni, quindi non è una diffusione generalizzata, è mirata perché quando l'utente si registra deve ovviamente indicare i criteri per consentire il matching tra il fabbisogno informativo dell'impresa in termini di appunto gare e early warning e appunto il tipo di informazione che all'azienda interessa. Quindi l'utente dovrà specificare a che tipo di informazione è interessato, se appunto gare d'appalto e o early warning, le caratteristiche del progetto, se è interessato a progetti relativi alla realizzazione di opere piuttosto che prestazioni di servizi o forniture di beni, quali sono i paesi di interesse, cioè da cui vuole ricevere segnalazioni e naturalmente i settori. Il matching funziona in questo modo: le nostre antenne estere, quindi gli uffici ICE, le ambasciate, i consolati, le camere di commercio, introducono nel sistema online le informazioni. C'è un sistema di matching automatico che consente all'utente, una volta registrato, di ricevere una email di notifica quando il sistema inserisce una segnalazione, una nuova informazione che incontra i parametri che sono stati indicati in fase di registrazione. Qui sono ricapitolati un po' il valore aggiunto di Extender, fondamentalmente appunto è un servizio informativo mirato che consente appunto un invio in tempo reale di informazioni personalizzate, è gratuito, quindi basta solo registrarsi e ecco, in 10, tra l'altro è una procedura di registrazione molto semplice, non più di una decina di minuti credo, e ovviamente sfrutta la capillarità della rete estera che di fatto è un network di oltre 400 strutture in giro per il mondo. Dicevo prima, adesso questo non ve lo commento, lo troverete poi nelle slide che renderemo disponibili, ma ci sono tutti i passi per procedere alla registrazione. L'unica cosa che magari possiamo dire è il punto 1, il sito Extender ha un indirizzo un po' complicato, per cui magari ecco, una volta digitato, la prima volta memorizzatelo tra i preferiti, oppure più semplicemente potete accedervi direttamente dal sito internet di Confindustria Nazionale, che è www.confindustria.it, poi lo vedremo, sulla home page di Confindustria c'è un banner in basso, scorrendo un po' la pagina c'è un banner, l'avvocato Brand, salve. Si accede quindi direttamente al sito Extender dal sito di Confindustria Nazionale. Una volta appunto che ci si è registrati sul sito, il sito è consultabile, voi inizierete a ricevere queste email di notifica ogni qualvolta vengono immesse nel sistema delle segnalazioni che incontrano i vostri requisiti, potete consultare Extender. Accedete al sistema tramite l'indirizzo email che avete utilizzato in fase di registrazione, digitando una password personale, entrate in quella che viene definita la My Extender, cioè una sezione personalizzata appunto, in cui voi potrete visualizzare appunto le vostre gare di appalto, i vostri early warning, nel senso che sono quelli che avete indicato voi. Naturalmente, poi lo vediamo in alto, c'è sempre un motore di ricerca per cui potete fare verifiche e visualizzare anche gare di appalto e early warning su settori e mercati che non rientrano nel vostro profilo. Su questa parte vado molto veloce, sono solo delle informazioni di tipo statistico che ci sono state fornite dal Ministero degli Affari Esteri, dalla Direzione Generale per il Sistema Paese. Commento solo alcune slide. Ecco, questa ad esempio è una slide che ricapitola i flussi di gara e di early warning, spero si legga bene, dal 2003, anno in cui è nato Extender, fino al giugno 2012, una matrice, c'è una appunto suddivisione per aree geografiche, quindi tra Africa subsahariana, Americhe, Asia, Oceania, Europa, Mediterraneo e Medio Oriente, e per anno. Quindi tanto per farvi capire, poi dopo magari i dati vi potete magari guardare con più attenzione una volta entrati in azienda. Comunque sono transitate attraverso Extender circa 51.500 tra gare ed early warning, in particolare sono gare, prevalentemente gare emesse da soggetti e autorità europee. poi in seconda battuta da Asia e Oceania, Mediterraneo e Medio Oriente, Americhe e Africa subsahariana. Questi sono dei grafici costruiti con i dati della pagina della slide precedente. L'unica cosa che faccio notare è che un dato statistico, il 50% delle gare vinte da imprese italiane comunque è transitato attraverso questa piattaforma. Le aree, ecco, la qualità dei flussi, qui un approfondimento solo su come leggere questo grafico. È una slide appunto che ci dice sul totale, prendiamo ad esempio le gare, il grafico quello che vedete in alto a sinistra, fatte, ad esempio 2012, è da leggere in questo modo: fatto 100 il totale delle gare che sono state immesse dalla rete estera all'interno della piattaforma informativa, 86,45, diciamo 86 gare sono state processate e validate, 14, 13,55 sono state invece sospese, nel senso che l'unità operativa extender che ha ricevuto la segnalazione non l'ha validata, nel senso che ha ritenuto la gara o poco chiara o la gara è pervenuta in ritardo, sostanzialmente magari troppo a ridosso della scadenza, quindi non ci sarebbero stati i tempi tecnici per consentire di acquisire tutta la documentazione e poi di predisporla in tempo utile per la scadenza. Normalmente il... Dimmi.
Perché ha detto è arrivato in ritardo o cioè, qual è la fonte da cui
Appunto, la fonte informativa nel caso di questa piattaforma è, come dicevo prima, la rete estera, che è fatta da consolati, ambasciate, le nostre rappresentanze permanenti presso gli organismi finanziari e non internazionali, l'ICE e le camere di commercio italiane all'estero. Anzi, lo vediamo in questa slide qua, ecco, qui vedete i contributi della rete, cioè fondamentalmente cioè le segnalazioni pervengono per la maggior parte dall'ICE, quindi dagli uffici ICE, in seconda battuta dalle rappresentanze diplomatico-consolari, quindi genericamente il Ministero Affari Esteri, e poi le camere di commercio italiane all'estero. Quando l'unità operativa extender riceve la segnalazione, la valida solo se ovviamente primo ritiene la gara chiara, nel senso che molto spesso, vedete qui c'è una percentuale variabile negli anni tra il 10 e il 20% di gare sospese, perché non sono state ritenute chiare. O perché appunto la segnalazione è pervenuta troppo a ridosso della scadenza. Allora, mentre generalmente il Ministero Affari Esteri valida gare che pervengono con almeno 30 giorni di anticipo rispetto alla scadenza, gli uffici ICE tendono a segnalare queste gare anche con una scadenza inferiore, e allora lì di volta in volta l'unità operativa valuta se validare o meno quella gara. Quindi sono, diciamo, criteri un po' diversi tra il Ministero Affari Esteri e ICE. Questi sono dati elaborati dal Ministero Affari Esteri, quindi tendenzialmente, ecco, il Ministero prende quei 30 giorni sostanzialmente, ecco, questo è il termine che adotta il Ministero Affari Esteri. Contributi della rete, qui c'è un dato cumulativo, sono 9.040 utenti al momento registrati fino a giugno 2012, prevalentemente imprese, poi ci sono associazioni e istituzioni, e questo è l'andamento delle iscrizioni. Volevo solo farvi vedere quello che dicevo prima, cioè la possibilità di accedere al sito direttamente dal sito web di Confindustria nazionale. Voi aprite il sito che è www.confindustria.it, questa è l'home page di Confindustria. In basso sulla sinistra trovate questo banner in rosso, Extender piattaforma sistemica. Cliccate qui, entrate nel sito web di Extender. Ci sono tutti i passi, poi vedete come registrarsi per usufruire del servizio, collegarsi al sito Extender. Cliccate qui e si apre appunto la pagina, dovrebbe aprirsi, ecco, la pagina Extender. Qua giù vi potete registrare, registrati ora, e quindi lì si avvia la procedura di registrazione. Accedi, se cliccate invece su accedi in alto, accedete alla sezione appunto My Extender, quella che vi dicevo, quella personalizzata. Prima di accedere vi faccio vedere soltanto un'altra cosa, ecco, la rete Extender, quella che dicevo prima, che tu mi dicevi, se voi cliccate qui, e digitate il paese, adesso magari abbiamo qui Brasile, digitate Brasile, trovate tutte praticamente le, si vede un po' male, però trovate tutte le strutture italiane all'estero relativamente al mercato brasiliano che immettono nel sistema queste segnalazioni di gare ed early warning, che sono l'Ufficio ICI di San Paolo, il Consolato di San Paolo, il Consolato Generale di Rio de Janeiro, il Consolato Generale di Porto Alegre e giù. Sono 12 strutture, quindi fatto per tutti i paesi è un network di circa, appunto dicevo, 400 strutture che giornalmente alimenta questa banca dati. Entrando nella sezione accedi invece, voi digitate in questo campo la mail con cui vi siete registrati appunto in fase di registrazione, con cui vi siete registrati, digitate la password personale e accedete alla sezione, vedete, My Extender. Dopodiché voi potete effettuare, qui voi vedrete le mie gare di appalto, che sono appunto prevalentemente sul Nord Africa. Appunto, voi invece vedrete le gare che incrociano i vostri criteri naturalmente. Potete modificare i profili, potete, ecco la cosa che vi dicevo, potete andare sul motore di ricerca in alto, ma questo anche senza accedere alla sezione personalizzata, e qui fare una ricerca libera. Quindi paese e mondo, tanto per restare con l'esempio Brasile, digitate, non lo so, Brasile, eccolo. Potete scegliere la caratteristica del progetto, cioè se una fornitura di beni, una realizzazione di opere o una prestazione di servizi. Noi adesso le mettiamo tutte giusto per completezza. Potete scegliere il settore di interesse, quindi infrastrutture, costruzioni, macchinari industriali, guardate, ce ne sono tantissimi, sono tutti questi elencati qua, e poi dopo si può entrare all'interno di ciascuno e fare una analisi, quindi agricoltura e sviluppo rurale, industria delle costruzioni, formazione, energia, ambiente, sono veramente molteplici. Fate cerca, ecco, al momento sono state rilevate 3 gare, qui purtroppo si legge molto male, però viene indicato il paese, il titolo della gara, il codice gara, il settore e la scadenza, quindi la scadenza della gara. La prima in alto è per il settore, cioè infrastrutture del settore medicale, sostanzialmente della tutela della salute, e scadenza 5 dicembre. Potete cliccare all'interno del titolo gara, vi si apre una schermata in cui vengono visualizzate una serie di informazioni che vi consentono di risalire, non solo avere qualche informazione appunto sulla gara, come in questo caso si tratta di attrezzature di laboratorio, c'è un progetto sul SUL che vede il coinvolgimento del programma di sviluppo delle Nazioni Unite in questo caso. Se ci sono allegati, li trovate, la classificazione della gara, le caratteristiche del progetto, chi è l'ente appaltante, con diciamo i riferimenti, e chi è ecco, se c'è un referente locale viene indicato, e qual è l'antenna appunto, la struttura estera che ha immesso nel sistema questo tipo di informazione. Prendete contatto con l'antenna e lì potete poi chiedere tutte le informazioni relativamente alla documentazione, ecco, lì ci sono tutti i riferimenti. E questo ovviamente lo potete fare per tutti i mercati che sono ovviamente in cui c'è una rappresentanza italiana di fatto. Io avvocato, ecco, se ci sono domande, dimmi.
Quando ha detto che le gare vengono scappate perché non sono chiare,
Sì.
questo non lo so, viene a dire, quindi quando inseriscono i dati aziendali devo cercare di essere il più chiaro e preciso possibile, in modo tale da far sì che corrispondano di più con le gare.
No, la chiarezza, cioè nel senso, voi indicate appunto, è chiaro, i paesi di interesse li andate a digitate qual è il settore che vi interessa, e quello è un discorso. L'altro invece che le dicevo è, una volta che la rete, la struttura estera immette nel sistema una segnalazione, l'unità operativa extender ha, diciamo, la discrezionalità, naturalmente valuta quella segnalazione e la valida solo se ritiene che la gara emessa, solo se quella segnalazione è sufficientemente chiara, ma non nel senso chiara perché incontra i suoi requisiti, cioè riceve una segnalazione, la verifica, è chiara, sì, la valido e quindi la diffondo al sistema, agli utenti extender, oppure no, non è chiara, non la valido, la sospendo, quindi in quel senso va inteso il termine sospeso.
Poi Umberto, vedremo oggi nel pomeriggio, quando parliamo della contrattualizzazione dell'appalto, vedremo che la domanda di partecipazione, il bid, l'offer, la domanda di partecipazione al tender, deve essere formulata in un form di domanda particolare, deve comprendere una serie di dichiarazioni e una serie piuttosto determinata, più che complessa, determinata, precisa, di documentazioni. Allora, il non preciso al quale fa riferimento il dottor Martelli è la non esatta, immediata identificazione, la non capacità di identificare immediatamente ed esattamente quali sono gli elementi che debbono essere, i documenti o altre informazioni, altri elementi che debbono essere inseriti nella domanda di partecipazione per permettere la valutazione della domanda di partecipazione, perché domande incomplete o divergenti rispetto ai dati che devono contenere vengono scartate dal processo di selezione. Quindi qualora questo capita, non è estremamente ricorrente, però capita soprattutto in sistemi giuridici diversi dai nostri o culture comunque diverse, capita che l'indicazione di un documento che è chiaro secondo quel sistema giuridico non è chiaro e chiaramente identificabile da parte nostra, da parte di chi deve partecipare, e allora in quel caso il tender viene definito non preciso. Come quando lei prima chiedeva cosa vuol dire in ritardo. Ogni appalto prevede che la domanda debba essere presentata entro un certo termine, altrimenti non viene presa in considerazione. La presentazione, la preparazione e la presentazione della domanda, anche questo lo vedremo nel pomeriggio, richiede un'opera piuttosto complessa, perché bisogna allegare molto spesso documenti progettuali, oltre a una serie di certificazioni, oltre ad altri documenti tecnici o giuridici che richiedono un determinato tempo. Quindi se un appalto scade fra 10 giorni è inutile pubblicarlo, perché nessuno in 10 giorni riuscirebbe a preparare il materiale per fare la domanda. Allora, proseguiamo perché vogliamo rimanere nei tempi, quindi Umberto sei pregato di tornare alla slide 20 mia. A seguire analizziamo brevemente gli altri siti, gli altri canali di informazione che abbiamo enunciato precedentemente. Ecco, il primo da esaminare è questo della European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, la EBRD. La EBRD, che è un'istituzione che tutti voi conoscete, è la principale istituzione finanziaria comunitaria e che ha come finalità quella di sostenere il passaggio all'economia di mercato dei paesi in via di sviluppo. Si è rivolta inizialmente a tutti i paesi europei, recentemente, come vedete, ha esteso l'operatività all'Egitto, al Marocco, alla Tunisia e alla Giordania, e questo è estremamente importante perché una delle aree più importanti sia in riferimento alla crescita economica sia in riferimento all'emanazione di tender è proprio a livello mondiale, è proprio questa area, l'area del Medio Oriente e l'area del Maghreb. Prima di vedere la modalità di accesso della slide 21, passerei alle altre due slide, molto brevemente, ecco, dove possiamo notare, qui abbiamo i settori finanziati dalla Banca Europea. Vedete che il principale, financial institutions, però dobbiamo capire che queste financial institutions sono quegli enti finanziari che poi rifinanziano gli enti governativi per l'emanazione di appalti. Il secondo è il Power and Energy e il terzo è i Transport. Andiamo avanti all'ultima ancora, e qui vediamo, possiamo rilevare che la Banca Europea di Ricostruzione e Sviluppo ha operato principalmente nel 2012, in massima parte in Russia, poi nel sud-est d'Europa e per ultimo nella Centro Asia. Ecco, ritorniamo adesso Umberto alla slide 21, qui vediamo il percorso per entrare e consultare la banca dati della European Bank. Allora ti pregherei di cliccare ebrd.com, questo ci porta alla home page della EBRD, da qui accediamo alla Procurement Notices, che è il segmento del sito che tratta appunto il procurement, e qui abbiamo Procurement Overview, il quadro generale del procurement.
Avvocato, dove lo trovo questo? Dov'è, scusa? Io sono sulla home page del sito della Banca Europea.
Allora, qui clicca Procurement Notices.
Non lo vedo, aspetti.
Procurement, Advanced Paint. Allora, abbiamo fatto un percorso veloce.
Può darsi che aspetti, è un attimo. Non so se infatti probabilmente. Aspetti, prendiamo un attimo. Esatto, non so se c'era.
Sì.
Da qui?
Dalla 4 accedi direttamente. No. Se
Dalla?
torni alla 4.
Ah, dalla 6 4.
Alla 4.
Ah, scusate, pensavo.
Allora,
Da
tu
qui.
resta posizionato qui.
Da qui. No, pensavo dalle slide.
È uguale.
Cioè, qui avete.
Uguale. No, cerchiamo di rintracciarlo. Noi l'abbiamo fatto il percorso in studio, abbiate pazienza, c'è perché l'abbiamo trovato, l'abbiamo fatto, quindi bisogna trovarlo. Riaccedi
allora, su project forse. No, sectors no. Research and publication. Ecco, il procurement.
Ok.
Qui.
Procurement.
Project procurement, questo è il terzo. Overview? No, overview è questo. Direi project procurement, penso. Ecco, forse il current opportunities.
Sì, ecco, opportunities. Praticamente entrando, ecco, noi abbiamo la stessa, l'impostazione di questi siti è più o meno uguale, sono tutti più o meno uguali perché la griglia e il sistema di identificazione, selezione e di output delle informazioni è la stessa. In tutti voi trovate una elencazione dei paesi. Poi, scelto il paese, potete scegliere, potete fare altre selezioni, il settore di interesse, la natura dell'appalto, se è finanziato o no e da chi, e comunque una serie di informazioni. Se scendi ancora, vedete, il sistema vi dà già immediatamente un elenco di appalti, è un elenco molto esteso. Voi potete ordinarli issue date, quindi alzalo un pochino, potete ordinarlo per issue date e lo vedete, o deadline, data di scadenza, oppure lo potete ordinare per country, oppure notice title, la descrizione del sito, sector, e quella è una notizia aggiuntiva. Quindi selezionando quello che è il vostro indicatore, la vostra chiave principale di ricerca, voi avrete tutti gli appalti ordinati secondo quella chiave di ricerca. Ecco, tanto basta perché altrimenti impiegheremo un tempo, ma voi prendete questi se quando avrete un attimo di tempo, fateci un giro, non sarà divertente come altri siti, ma fateci un giro, troverete veramente tutte le informazioni che vi possono servire. Allora, passiamo all'altro, ritorno alla slide 4 e passiamo al Tender Electronics Daily. Il Tender Electronics Daily è la banca dati che contiene principalmente tutte le pubblicazioni della Gazzetta Ufficiale dell'Unione Europea. Come vi dicevo prima, l'Unione Europea, ma anche tutti gli enti finanziari che operano con l'Unione Europea, hanno l'obbligo, c'è questo obbligo di dare pubblicità a tutti gli appalti per permettere la partecipazione, la pari opportunità di partecipazione a tutti gli interessati, e di pubblicare gli appalti, le gare di appalto, nella Gazzetta Ufficiale della Comunità Europea. Il TED è esattamente la trasposizione informatica elettronica della Gazzetta Europea della Comunità Europea. Qui dovresti selezionare dall'home page, dovresti passare supplemento sulla Gazzetta Ufficiale, sei già entrato, opportunità commerciali, e selezione per settori di attività, CPV. Questi CPV, Common Procurement Vocabulary, è, come vedete, una lista, un listato di chiavi, un vocabolario che permette di selezionare le chiavi di interesse per arrivare al vostro settore, al vostro paese di interesse e di riferimento, e quindi fare una restrizione dei dati presenti, degli appalti presenti, una restrizione a quella lista che interessa la vostra azienda. Passiamo poi all'ultimo, no, il penultimo, Development Business. Development Business entra dalla home page, passa a Project,
Sto già entrando
sì.
nella sezione
Come?
dedicata. Sto già entrando nella sezione dedicata.
Sì,
Quella
l'home
proprio
page, passa alla Project and Tenders.
Sì, ci sono già, ecco.
Ci sei già?
Sì.
Quindi dalla Project and Tenders, vedi, c'è un segmento dove sort by e sono indicate diverse chiavi: country, institutions, date posted, sector, deadline date. Quindi sono chiavi di ricerca. Quello che è importante vedere è che, vedete, segue un listato. In questo listato trovate di nuovo sector, country, title, institution, date posted, deadline. Trovate tutti gli elementi che servono per analizzare e processare una o più gare di appalto che vi possono interessare. Ancora Informest Consulting. Entrando Informest sull'home page, passiamo a bandi di gara internazionali. Informest, questo sito, questo database è il database di Informest. Informest è una società di finanziaria e di servizi all'internazionalizzazione che ha sede a Trieste, che è partecipata principalmente da Simest e dalle regioni del Triveneto, dalle camere di commercio e le associazioni industriali del Triveneto. È una, diciamo che è una unità territoriale di Simest. E quindi dove siamo?
Siamo già nella sezione bandi di gara mondiali, quindi qui possiamo...
Bandi di gara internazionali, e qui abbiamo database bandi, ricerca e selezione. Le modalità di ricerca e selezione sono le stesse per chiavi e utilizzano le stesse chiavi che abbiamo visto in precedenza: paese, fonte di arrivo, quando, tipo del bando, eccetera. Quando accederete a questi siti, cosa che non possiamo fare adesso, vi renderete conto di quanti bandi di appalto ci sono, quanti, numerosissimi, per ognuno dei vostri settori, sicuramente per ognuno dei vostri settori. Quindi capirete quale utilità, quale tipo di informazione e quali opportunità potete valutare in ambito commerciale nella realizzazione diretta della vostra attività attraverso gli appalti internazionali. Bene, noi abbiamo finito questa prima presentazione. Avete nelle slide, tutti avete le slide, avete l'indicazione di tutti i canali e di tutte le modalità di accesso, quindi mi sembra che questo sia esaustivo per permettere a voi di sviluppare ed estendere questo livello di conoscenza. Ora passiamo alla seconda fase di questa mattinata, che riguarda la esposizione del sistema degli appalti e delle opportunità di appalto in queste tre economie di principale sviluppo economico mondiale. E nel frattempo è arrivato anche il collega, l'avvocato Thomas Brandt, che rappresenta la Russia, e quindi direi di passare la parola per procedere con questo segmento.
Sì, bene, grazie. With your permission, I will switch to English now because I would like my dear colleagues to deal with the second part of the seminar. Well, first of all, welcome, Thomas. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, and I hope you can enjoy your stay and contribute to the benefit of the audience. Well, we are basically halfway towards the morning session. We have gone through an explanation in favor of the audience of the different internet or web-based platforms and sources of information that we can readily access from the net. Obviously, we realize, and as I think also the audience realizes, that nowadays we live in a world that, beside being global, is a world that allows us to get information with a simple click. But I think we all realize that today information is no longer a key of success, because you can access information everywhere. You log in on internet, you get all the information you need, and you can do the same with the Extender or other platforms that we have seen. But I think that this is not the only key asset. It is an asset and need to be exploited to the maximum extent, but perhaps is not the only key asset. I think we all appreciate the fact that today we need to move from a world in which we have full information and we can handle the information to a world in which we need to handle knowledge, particularly local knowledge, and we need to acquire local assistance in order to ensure that if we see that the business opportunity is there, and we either scout it out of Extender or the other platforms or with any other source, then we know the right people and we know who can help in order to secure the business and the business opportunity. And we all realize in our profession, but I think that also our dear guests in the audience always have realized that local knowledge and local assistance is a key driving factor to secure the business opportunity. This is the reason why we wanted you to have a first-hand knowledge and also a first feeling directly from those who are dealing with the tenders and the business opportunities directly in the field where the business is, and where business is not always as easy as we would expect it to be living in Italy and doing business in Italy. So there are other aspects and other critical issues that need to be considered, and we thought that it would be an asset for you to listen at the advice and suggestions that our guest speaker will have for you. We therefore now go through the second stage of the morning, and we will be hearing not only information but also advice and suggestions from three different attorneys. The first attorney that will be speaking will be Mr. Parvez Zabii. is coming from from Iraq, and more specifically from the Kurdistan region, and it will address all the issues and the business opportunities that are ready for you to get and to catch in Iraq. We will follow up with a speech of Mr. Marco Orlandi, an attorney working in Brazil, and we will end up with Thomas Brand, an attorney working in Moscow, who will give us an overview an overview of business opportunities in Russia, market in which many of you may have operated already in the past. So if we are all happy to move forward, I will ask Mr. Zabi to guide us through the explanation and illustration of the opportunities that you see and you daily handle in Iraq and in Kurdistan in particular. Thank you.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. My name is Parvez Zabihi from Newton Law and Partners. We are based in Erbil. We have offices in Baghdad and Basra, as well as Beirut, and very soon in Libya. And we'll be presenting ourselves there as well. With thanks to Campi Industria Ancona, I must admit I have never come across this amazing organization. I think I'll be actively encouraging every country to have one of these. And special thanks to Bacciardi and partners, especially Mr. Enzo Bacciardi and Lorenzo. Thank you for hosting us. Lorenzo called me last week to say that I'm particularly trying to organize your diet requirement when you come to Italy. I said, can you make sure there is a nice glass of wine and perhaps a nice aperitif to go with it, and a beautiful coffee at the end of it. It might sound quite strange, but we're much more familiar with you guys than you might think. Italians are loved, very much so in Iraq and Kurdistan. We appreciate a nice good coffee and a nice delightful glass of wine. It could be Sicilian wine. It could be from other region, but we tend to get quite a lot of it recently coming to Kurdistan. Thanks to the Italian consulate that is just opened in Erbil, very active, a lovely place. They're based in English village, not Italian city. There are lots of small little cities in Erbil that are named after different countries. But our beloved Italian consulate based in English village. You might pick up from my accent, I lived in England for over 30 years, and ex-KPMG and McKinsey, and then later Baines. And then later, 3 years ago, I was asked specifically by the Prime Minister and the President of Kurdistan to come back and start helping the redevelopment of the country. By nature, we are part of Iraq, whether we like it or not. The safest part is Erbil and the KRG region. I actively encourage you, hop into a plane and come to Erbil. You don't have to apply for a visa. Europeans are welcomed. Come in, automatically you'll be given 15 days. Come and enjoy the friendship and everything that you can possibly imagine. If you leave your bag anywhere, in a taxi, on the table, anywhere, nobody will touch it. And it's a friendly place, and I would like you to visit it firsthand. Anything that you can possibly imagine that you could think of, it's needed. From the tiniest things of a chocolate that comes from Italy, to a biscuit, to a pair of socks, all the way to a road constructions and a hospital development, any kind of buildings, any kind of light and bulbs you can think of, even the cups and saucers. My God, you should come and see the taste of those glittering golden material that are being put in there and junked from China. You just need a couple of beautiful brands of Italian manufacturers to come there. So we encourage you, at any shape and form, at any level, please come and visit, get a feel for it. We will make sure that you are looked after. There are hotels from $40 a night to $1,000 a night, plenty of it, plenty good food, local food, and plenty smiled. That I can assure you on that. Thank you again. Tomorrow, another session, my colleagues from Amsterdam is going to be present for another conference, very similar. We'll be covering similar subject matters. I will be attending a similar conference in Copenhagen tomorrow in the afternoon. We are inundated by Europeans, so we're delighted about that. It's taken us 30 years of struggle to get rid of a dictator. So you are at the right place at the right time. The sooner you come, the better. I wanted to start with this slide here, if I may. This is what's driving the business in Iraq and in Kurdistan. This indicates, can everybody hear me? Is that, this indicates, if you don't mind, I'm going to stand up for a moment. This indicates 36 newly explored oil wells. This green area are the new oil wells that currently discovered and explored in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Needless to say, Iraq further down, we'll go, we have some slides of Iraq to show you. Basra and Baghdad and Diyala, the other provinces, already quite established oil fields that has been used and taken advantage of in the past 40, 50 years. Italian oil company currently present in Basra, very active. As a result of the strong Italian oil presence in Iraq, there are a number of Italian large-scale construction companies and service providers for the oil industry already present in the south. What we are lacking is the Italian construction companies, road, as well as major building infrastructure in the north at this stage. But this is only a matter of time before that's starting to happen. Currently, it's dominated by the Turks and by the Lebanese. My Lebanese colleagues would not like me to say that. We have an office in Beirut. But the Lebanese were the pioneers here. The sooner we see them out of the country, the better, simply because they're not doing as good as what the Italian could do. We're expecting more. 10 years ago, we were settled with the Turks and the Lebanese. That was perfectly okay. They were doing a substandard, cheap. At the time, nobody was prepared to come. But now is a time for consolidation. Now is time for higher quality work that need to be delivered and expected from the European sources. As we speak, the Germans, the British, the French are heavily present. Lafarge, one of the largest concrete manufacturer, is already present. So they own 49% of a company that is partly owned by 77 Construction, which is one of our clients. Lafarge is now there in a very strong presence. Once Lafarge was started to go in, Total Petrol by the French company went into KRG, then there was a flood of other French companies coming in. So this is a perfect time for Italians to step in. From a small scale to a large scale. It does not matter. Don't be so taken by, well, I'm not in the oil industry, or I'm not in the construction industry, I can't do anything. To a smallest thing, if you set up a cafe, it's called Italia. It's a real, genuine Italian coffee that the Italian pastry is served there, and the biscuits, and you name it, the tiniest thing that I'm talking about, to setting up a bakery in Erbil or in the KRG and then later Iraq, will be dominating the market comfortably. I'm going from a small scale. A jewelry manufacturer, a small light industry that you guys are very famous for in Lombardia region, from furniture manufacturing. Any of that will be highly regarded and will be welcomed in the system. I'm going to stop here with this particular slide and take you to the next presentation. We talked about what we can do for you as a law firm. As I mentioned earlier, we are a small boutique law firm, and we specialize in helping newcomers to the region. We have partners across the country, and as well as in Lebanon, but also in Baghdad and in Basra, we have a strong presence there. The four governorates that you can see clearly illustrated here are the ones that money spent the most right now at this stage. These four, all four of them are Kurdish region. The lowest is called Kirkuk Governorate at 1.3 million. That is the one that currently is disputed between Baghdad and KRG. So it's a lesser developed area and has not been tapped into, and there's a lot more potential there than it is elsewhere within the region. However, all four of them are a very clear target by international companies. I was talking about infrastructure that is clearly lacking in that whole area. I started looking at various different industries just to get an idea about what's possible in that part. Then we're talking about the divisions of the population in Iraq as a whole. So when the different colors, the yellow, the Kurds, the dark green, the Sunni, and the light green, the Shia, we're talking about it, that's a clear division between all three areas. And the latter two parts, the light green and the dark green, is the one that is causing some of those suicide bombers that are taking place in a little part of Baghdad. And that's reducing. On and off comes and goes, but we hope over the next 5 years that also disappears for the entire country. But as we speak, the yellow area is a 100% safe. As I say 100% safe, it's 100% safe for anybody to walk in, and it will be actively encouraged. There is a particular 10 years exemption, tax exemption that has been introduced in the yellow part that is ratified by the Kurdish parliament, and that encourages investment into the region. That includes you bringing in any equipment tax-free, but also taking entire asset as well as your profit within the next 10 years. You're free to take it out of the country, and not a single question will be asked from the investor. This is something that is currently being reviewed again in March, and it could be extended from 10 years to 15 years. That's subject to ratifications of the Kurdish parliament in March 2013. We have copies of the exact law. If you have an interest to receive any additional information about Iraq and KRG, about specific documents, third-party reports, etc., we have a complete file here with Mr. Bachardi's firm. Please email relevant people to receive a copy. There's also a website called krg.org, which gives you an interesting insight to what is the North is up to and what is they're doing, and there are some documents that can be downloaded. There's a section in English. As soon as you walk in, is Arabic and Kurdish, don't get fazed by it. There's a little flag in a corner that turns everything into English. I hope that we can put it into Italian at some point. We're talking about divisions of the Arabs, the Turks, the Turkomans, the Kurds, divisions of Muslims, the Sunni and Shia. I won't bore you with too much of that. One thing that I'm really keen to point out is the GDP. While Europe is going through major crisis, we have an extremely strong annual increase on GDP in the region. And I would like all of you, at one way or another in your sector, take advantage of that. Again, we're talking about 10 times per capita growth. This is just remarkable. We haven't had that since the Second World War, anywhere in the world. This is something that is phenomenal, the way that is growing. It's not all good. There are certain parts of it that when the growing population, when that's happened, there's always a damage in certain parts, especially in the rural or agriculture area. But that's something that there needs to be more attention made to the agriculture and the rural area to be revived. That's where also Italians could come in very well and very handy with the experience that they have on the agriculture, as well as the whole area that is taking advantage of the soil, if I can put it like that. Iraq oil and natural gas is clearly as a topic of the century. It's incredible how much has been done in there. One of the key factors that I need to remind everybody is that by 2014, potentially the gas that you'll be using in your home will come from Kurdistan region of Iraq. The deal has been signed by the European Union. The gas pipes are currently being laid. 2014, end of 2014 is the deadline for the gas pipe to be fully constructed via Turkey and Bulgaria, and will be replacing the Russian gas. We no longer, as Europe, have to adhere with the constant fluctuations and the bargaining power that Russians have been putting us on hold for things. That itself would bring more stability for the region, that itself would bring more prosperity for the region and more opportunity for people like yourselves to come into the country. It's an extremely important aspect of the stability in the region. ExxonMobil and OMV, the Austrian oil and gas company, are both heavily invested in the gas section of Chamchamal region, which is sitting roughly around this area, and that's inside the Kurdish territory. That is controlled and protected by the Kurdish forces and Kurdish army. So Iraqi army or Iraqi, those who are not too keen to see the country developed cannot access or tap into it. It's an emerging economy, Kurdistan region. I will encourage you to start with there due to safety factor, but very much if you felt that later on you can expand into other areas, Erbil could be a major distribution center for anything that you're trying to do or sell to the rest of Iraq. As I mentioned earlier, anything you touch is needed. Anything that you think of from a paper, from a notepad, you can think of, it's needed in Kurdistan and in Iraq. I won't go through the list. It's quite a comprehensive list. This presentation is available again via email on request when you need it. There are some downside and threats and weaknesses on a tribal background, on some families, etc. It's a young democracy. The election is there. All of that is in place, but still changing. Kirkuk and Mosul are the two territories that are growing and becoming safer, but at this stage are not 100% safe. We're just about to open an office in Kirkuk ourselves, simply because there's much more demand needed on that by some of our Arab clients who have to come to Erbil, and every time Arab client comes, they'll have to apply for visa for a safety reason. Although it's the same country, but they cannot enter so easily into the Kurdish region. It's easier for you to enter into Kurdistan than an Arab national from the south at this moment in time. Departure of US troops triggered a change in the policy from Baghdad. However, there is currently a major move for the American troops to move into Kurdish region. And that's something that is currently in part of the plan for Erbil and Soleimani. That will bring more stability to us, but also a worrying that if we have troops in there, we might become a target. But for time being, all the economic and the political outlook is for Americans to come into the Kurdish region. So since 1991, we had a full autonomy, we can call it that. There was a constitution for Iraq that gave a right to every region. There are 14 regions in Iraq, every region to have a federal states and have their own federal governing rule and body in there. The only one that currently is fully in practice is Kurdistan region. The others are aspiring to it. Basra is becoming one of the most successful one out of the other. Hence we have an office there, and we have certain clients who wishes us to represent them in Basra. The second one that is in a pipeline that is coming in is a region called Salahuddin that used to be called Tikrit, where Saddam Hussein used to come from. And Salahuddin is partly populated by Kurds and partly by the Arabs. And that's also a very interesting new area for development. I won't go through too much of this detail in there. There's something that in your own time, perhaps you can take a look at that, and some chronological from 1970s onwards to 2014, what's happening to the parliament and everything else is there. Below that, in this area, Kurdistan fact sheets, you have certain population. The population is disputed between 4.5 to 7 million, but we're using the lowest number possible at this stage. GDP, again, extremely high. Annual budget, 9.7 billion. That's already, by 2013, is reaching 13 billion. For a tiny region like our region, it's quite a lot of money there. So our approach to this is the core value and underpin our approach to every transaction. And this is very important that we protect your investment. At any point, if we see any slight variations, we respond active response, and will be responsible to make sure that you are fully protected in the region. These are extends to Bacciardi and Partners a code of conduct, and we hope that in the future we'll be jointly helping you to invest or operate in the Iraq and KRG. In this, I'm trying to reduce the amount of blurb I talk to you about, but I'd like to just briefly go through some of the key areas of the Iraq and the legal framework, the general ones in the KRG and Iraq. I'm keeping KRG, Kurdistan Regional Government, and Iraq in the two separate terms, simply because if you decide to come in to do any work in there, it is advisable that you start from KRG. All the rules and regulations are much more relaxed. It's a lot more easier for you to work your way out of the maze of Middle Eastern paperwork and bureaucracy. In the car, as we're coming here, I mentioned that Iraq was created after this First World War as a result of the British Empire's policy trying to get rid of Ottoman Empire and get access to the oil. They set up an initial administration. Later in the 1950s, the French tidied it up. And as you know, the French are the largest bureaucrats in Europe, are actually from France. They've got 17% bureaucrats per population, as opposed to 3 or 4% of the Italians or the British. They created a bureaucracy in the 1950s in Iraq, and then later the Ba'ath Party, the dictatorship, created another layer of bureaucracy on the top of the already failed British system and already a failed, badly put together French system, and created another complete bureaucracy on the top of it. Unfortunately, we're having to deal with some of these. Simplest thing, by company formation, if instead of me taking 1 hour, 2 hours, it will take me 15 days to complete it. If I get a signature for something, I'll have to get 6 more signatures to prove that first signature was correct. So, but we're getting familiar with that. We have a number of other local law firms who are helping us with various different stages of the collecting all the signatures until a job is done. That part of it is more like a invisible part that we take care of once you decided to come in for the process. So the KRG laws, the company laws, the investment laws, these are all issues that need to be dealt with. We cover all of that there. Banking is in its very much infancy. We currently have 2 major Lebanese banks present and 6 Turkish banks that currently have branches in there, in addition to 15 banks that currently Iraq has under the Trade Bank of Iraq, as they call them, TBI. All of those international banks who come into to Iraq and KRG will have to be approved by TBI, Central Bank of Iraq. There is a process we have to go through. That's not that complicated, but if that was something that the Italian banks were interested, we're currently talking to the Italian consulate about this. Banca Intesa is one of our targets to convince them to come and put a branch in there. That will open a lot of door ultimately for all the other Italians to do some good banking in there. We're still at the first stage of the negotiation with Banca Intesa. So this is the state of the banking. It's lower down, much lower down. So this is something that we have to improve on in terms of the Iraqi banks. I'm trying to get through this quickly. I have some very interesting images to show you after this boring text and images that we have in there. But I'll show you a treat for your eyes, basically, that I can put that. So the security environment, assumptions are there that it's not secure, but absolutely opposite. Only last week I was hosting 2 Italians funded by the Italian government on restorations of manuscript in a monastery in Kurdistan. And we were walking around the old citadel of Erbil that is around 7,000 years old, and a bazaar next to it. And everybody was so lovely. And we had a vegetarian, one of them was a vegetarian guest, and we had something to eat in a local restaurant, very much open to everyone. And we asked the gentleman, can you give us some vegetarian? He just got a complete dish out and pulled the meat out. And he says, here's a vegetarian dish for you. they go out of their way to try to make you comfortable with their food. But luckily, our Italian friend was not a strict vegetarian, so he didn't mind to have a dish that meat is taken out of it. The Constitution of 2005 in Kurdistan opened a lot of doors, that including the investment law that came in with a 10 years tax exemption. This was done by our current Prime Minister, Nechirvan Barzani. He's probably the youngest Prime Minister ever. Unlike some of our Italian Prime Ministers, he doesn't own a TV station. So he's a little bit better from that point of view. Luckily, you got rid of him as well. So. But it's important that Iraq and Kurdistan remains a secular system. Everybody is free to promote and practice their own religions. And that's something that we're very proud of, and we want to keep it that way. Something that perhaps you may know, Iraq is probably the only place in the world that currently still 7 religions are practiced actively with a population in there. That dates back to 8,000 years. If somebody was interested, perhaps later on I can give you a rundown of what they are, etc. That's a complete different history. The company laws, the sponsorship system, the 100% foreign ownership is permissible. This is something that is absolutely crucial for you to understand, that whether you are in Baghdad or in Erbil, when you form a company, you don't have to have a local partner, which is the case with the rest of the Middle East. However, joint venture agreement is actively encouraged, but the company stays under your ownership, and there's nobody to make you do anything otherwise. The cost, very quick, very small. Minimum capital for non-construction LLC is around 850. That's what is need to be in the account. The currencies are dual currency in Iraq and in Kurdistan, and that's US dollars as well as the Iraqi dinar. That works. $1 is 1,250 Iraqi dinar. And that's been like that in the past 5 years. The KRG government and the Central Bank of Iraq has been actively making that currency transformation into a very steady level, while Iran and Syria and Turkey are going through turmoil financially, less extent Turkey, but the inflation has remained roughly around 1 to 1.5%, whereas in Iran, neighboring country, in the past 5 years has been fluctuating between 100 to 400%. It's a huge difference between the two. Am I going too fast? Are you okay for me to continue this way? Yeah? Okay. Setbacks. So, lengthy incorporation procedures. We also need to be realistic about things. Not everything is hunky-dory and everything is rosy and everything sunshine. But we go through these, and this is something that we just have to live with. We plan it, we budget it, and we ensure that you are putting that as part of your time plan, and not to have too much of a high expectation of a European-style incorporation. That can be done online quickly with a click of a button. The IPO procedure are difficult. It's a very, very new environment. If it's in infancy, the whole market is 6 or 7 years old. So don't expect too much from that point of view. But we can go through things. We can make it happen, but in a different way, perhaps, and not to go through the classic stereotype of the way Europe is operating business in there. If somebody is asking for an investment or somebody is putting a project in front of you, don't expect a business plan automatically to follow after that. They want to have a cup of tea and a lunch with you before they can even discuss the possibility of developing a business plan with you. They want to know you first before they do anything else in that. If you decided to have an operation in Erbil and Baghdad or have a presence in both, we need to set up 2 company operations. It could be one branch of the other, but Baghdad pretty much behaves in a different way than Erbil does. And that in total, we need about a month to incorporate both of those. That can be done through us, no problem. You can just put an order in here in Italy, and we can organize everything from that end. So the investment law in 2006 was a deciding factor for all the investment companies to come in, that including the oil industry, as well as some light industry has already stepped in. And that's something that it was ratified by major international law firms in America and in United Kingdom as well as France. And that hence we have the Total, Chevron, ExxonMobil, DNO of Norway, and etc. The list is endless. And they've all decided to invest in Kurdistan with that investment law that was put in place, that is not in contradiction to Baghdad, in spite of what has been said by Baghdad government and trying to complain about what KRG is doing on that point. So the exception includes natural resources, oil and gas. This is something very important. I believe today we don't have any oil and gas representative here, but I believe it's tomorrow. But that's another thing that my colleague will cover, that it's an area that we actively encourage Italians to come in as a basic level of service provision, all the way to providing a rig to an oil company. That's something that it would definitely be a very good area of growth for Italians to step in. Transfer of capital, the profit, everything. Within 10 years, you have absolutely no question asked. Come in, service everything, create everything, make money out of it, and you're very welcome. Within 10 years, please come back and see us on your next holiday just to visit us. That's the key. That's the key thing that has been said all along. That only applies to KRG. The rest of Iraq, the taxation is around 20%, still quite reasonable. So I wouldn't necessarily say just single it out in that area. If you have something for Basra, if you have something for Diyala, if you have something for Salahuddin, absolutely no problem. The taxation is still quite reasonable within the context of what you're investing in that area. The right to employ non-Iraqis. Some countries in the Middle East tend to do that. They push you, they encourage you, they will put all sorts of regulations that we don't have that in Iraq. We know that there's a lack of trained personnel in Iraq, in Kurdistan. If you need something specific and a skilled area, then please make sure you bring it with you. But it's also an active workforce who are willing to learn. So if you wanted to pass your knowledge down to a local and take advantage of that, that's also actively encouraged. There's a good number of them. I won't bore you with too much detail about number of students that currently, I lecture at the university separately on urban regenerations and the impact on society. And there we have around 22,000 students per year entering into one of the biggest universities. We have 15 universities that currently operates in Iraq as a whole. So you can sell your assets if you wish not to take it back. It's also exempt. It's very important that I just keep on repeating that. You're exempt. You're actively encouraged to come in. And that's ratified by the Parliament. Benefits of the investment law. The slide says it all. Kurdistan Investment Board has a power to grant additional incentives to project. So while you have that, but if you want more, then there is a possibility the Kurdistan Investment Board will look at your particular case, and it will actively do more to please you, simply because you're needed in the region. So here is the across-the-board taxation, corporate tax. One of my colleagues is a specialist in that area. Avoiding of double taxation treaties, existing treaties not practically applicable. So if you're paying tax in Kurdistan, you can't necessarily get exempt in Italy. So be careful with that side of it. That can be taken care of by our colleagues here in Italy with you. Social security and pension contribution doesn't exist for foreigners. So you may need to top up your existing ones wherever you are. I'm doing it in England, in spite of being Kurdish, but I have to keep that going in England. That's still not the case in Iraq yet. It's not developed fully. Banking law. Branches are actively encouraged for the entire Iraq. subsidiaries, representative office. Already HSBC has a representative office there. UBS is currently looking at a representative office. These are the two major ones that we're all familiar with. It's currently most of the Iraqi banks. One of the latest change that in Iraq is happening is a bank called the Northern Bank. It's owned by one family, the Jaf family. They're Kurdish, and they have been active during the Saddam as well. They're quite a big, rich business family, very much like the Radicis of Lombardia or Gysi when they owned Ajip in the north, in Milan. Jaf family also been like that. Even during the Saddam, they had their own operations and they're quite rich. They own a bank called the North Bank. They have branches in all 14 provinces of Iraq, and they have just been underpinned by Santander, the Spanish bank. Santander doesn't have a presence in Iraq, but they're using the North Bank as an underpin for investment and for what we call extended bank guarantees, that for large-scale orders of construction companies who wish to get supply to Iraq, and that's 7 months to 12 months extended bank guarantees that is given by Santander via the North Bank, which is officially a Kurdish bank, but registered with TBI in Baghdad. Anything in particular about banking, if you needed to know, we're available online, and anytime you need a question, let us know, and we will make sure that we answer them correctly. So, 23, 11 are Islamic banks. How many of you are familiar with Islamic banking? You all familiar with that? It's basically another way of charging you more interest. They will look at profit share instead of charging you interest. So if you get a loan for $1 million from them, if you get a straightforward interest from a normal bank for 6%, 7%, 10%, they end up charging you 22%. But they want to do a profit share with you, and they just take it the other way around. But there are some businesses in the Middle East who wish to use the Islamic banking system. Turks are taking advantage of that. The latest one just entered into Iraq was 2 weeks ago. I was there in their official opening in Erbil, and that's called Asya Bank, A-S-Y-A. And that's an Islamic bank of Turkey, and the Turkish consulate officially opened it with the Erbil governorate, Nozad Hadi. So, moving on, real estate law, owner lands with MOI approval, labor law, localization program, insurance law, possibility of insured domestic asset overseas, intellectual property law, which goes back to the 1985, ratified in Paris, and resolution of a commercial dispute in 1985 New York Convention, not ratified. So these are little areas that in case of any dispute, we will try and find a way to sort it out. There are always arbitrators as well, but there are also some friendly judges and friendly lawyers that we work with that are active in Iraq who can help us with that. When there is a will, there's always a way. That's the thing that we always come up with in Iraq. It says that don't worry, if there is no regulations, we will find a way to sort it out. Money talks sometimes. Dominance of oil and gas sector is very clear. We made a comparison between Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq. And you'll see that the red is quite a large section of the Iraq activity. That's specifically over the past 15 years. But we think that over the next 15 years, there will be some balance of that, especially in the light industry, in agriculture, and in tourism. And these are the specific three that is underpinned that we can look at it much more closely over the next 15 years. We have a number of clients that are coming on board on all three of those sectors. GDP per capita, and you notice the difference between Iraq and KRG, and that's still increasing, and it's still going up. And we hope that it can balance itself out at some point over the next 5 years once things are a bit calmer in the rest of Iraq. Poverty rate. These are all the provinces in Iraq. The last the last three of them, the Soleimani, Erbil, and Duhok, are the Kurdish region, KRG, and Kirkuk is a disputed territory. And you notice they have the lowest poverty rate out of the rest of Iraq. And that's only happened in the past 6 years, 6 to 7 years. So if you're selling something, if you're setting something up, clearly this is your target area first. And people love it. Anything that you bring in, from a watch to a beautifully cut suit, Italian suit, to a lovely scarf that is designed, or a perfume that is designed by the Italians. The last word is a Kurdish word, zor spas. You might get a spasiba in there. It's a link to that one. Thank you for that. I would like to show you some images. Do you have any questions while we're preparing the slides? I want to show you some images of 380 after Christ, where we had Christianity in Kurdistan, where Europe didn't even know what Christianity was. They still practice Aramea and still open, and they have 8 monks, student monks. I start with, waiting for this to, wonderful. Marmati, 380 after Christ, still in existence. It's officially under Mosul territory. Only 2 years ago, when the Christians were attacked in Iraq, these people were also being attacked by the thugs of Mosul. And KRG forces went and protected the Christians of the area, and still is protected by them. The older part, you might see right at the background. Can everybody see? Can we turn the lights off for a moment? Is that okay? Turn the lights off, please. The older part still goes back to this spine. St. Matthew and St. Martin, these are the two who were hiding here from the Greeks and the Roman, from the Greeks and the Roman invasion. And the St. Martin and St. Andrew were the two that were hiding in this mountain behind the monastery. I'll take the next slide. It's a different time of the day. I stayed there a night. There's a place for visitors to go and stay. There's lots of room, and it's free of charge. If you choose to donate, you'll be given a receipt. You can pay in any currency. I paid in euro. But they're lovely. 8 monks are currently being taught there. This is the village in the bottom of the hill. The plain you see in the front is the Babylon plain, where the old Babel or old city of Babylon was in existence. Today it's called Mosul. Another image from the mountain above the monastery. This is inside the monastery, one of the tombs, and one of the older monks he spoke a very beautiful English, and he speaks Arabic as well as Aramea, which is a descendant of Aramea called Syriani, which is also spoken widely in Kurdistan. This is the newly built monastery that was built 5 years ago, funded by KRG again. It was in a very bad state of repair, so it was funded and kept alive. It is valued in every faith and every religion in Kurdistan is valued for its own sake, and it's something that we want to keep for years to come. That's the older part of the church. It's still been partly repaired. And again, you can see the Babylon plain in the front of you, in the bottom. This is a view from one of the small caves that the St. Martin and St. Matthew used to hide. And that was before the monastery was built. Sunset in the evening as we were settling down for a nice evening meal with a prayer with the monks. The images speak for itself. I'll probably shut up and just flick through them, shall we? The Euphrates, you might have heard, the two major rivers that runs through Iraq, that you can see the reflection of the sun that is coming up. That's a tiny, tiny part of the Euphrates as it's joined together. And it runs through Iraq and Kurdistan. You can see it from a distance. And the light you see from a distance is the today's Mosul, or the Babylon, the city of Mosul. It's only 10 minutes drive from the monastery. This is the village in the bottom of the monastery that's been there for centuries. Karakosh, they call them. This is also protected under the law of KRG, that no Muslim is allowed to own a piece of land or a house here, to protect the Christians not to be swamped or pushed out of it with the price, everything that they tend to be a much richer community of Muslims than there are Christians. So the Christians are protected from that point of view. And there's a carving in the front of the monastery that tells you about the whole construction and how people helped to build it. At some point it was under attack, the library was on fire and it was replaced. That's just about concluded. Thank you again.
Thank you, Parvez, for this wonderful insight. We will now move on to Brazil and hear from Marco Orlandi. You can tell the name is absolutely Italian. Marco has Italian origins, although the family has been living in Brazil for probably 3 generations now. And so Marco will guide us through the business opportunities that are now available in Brazil. And so Marco, please go ahead.
Okay. Just to
Is it not opening? You need to convert. He says that you need to convert the... Ok. Facciamo un aggiustamento perché il file dice che deve essere convertito prima di... Do you have it? Parvez has the pack. Immagino che l'audience abbia il printout della presentazione, quindi siccome il computer chiede una conversione del file che non è possibile fare attualmente, potremmo fare la presentazione chiedendo all'audience di seguire sulla carta e chiedendo a Marco invece di illustrare la presentazione facendo riferimento alle slide e al numero delle slide in particolare. Marco, meantime, Parvez helps us with the presentation. Since the audience has the printout of your PowerPoint presentation, I suggest that we get started. Perhaps you may make reference to the number of the slides that they have with them. And as soon as the PowerPoint is up and running, we will project it and move forward.
Va bene.
Okay?
Bene. Prima di tutti vorrei ringraziare Confindustria Ancona for hosting this conference, for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. Vorrei ringraziare anche i miei colleghi dell'Istudio Bacciardi. So we were very honored to be invited to speak to you. So you can see that although I'm not really fluent in Italian, I can still speak a few words without being put to shame by you. Okay, so we are making here like a very big turn. We are leaving Eastern Middle East, and we are going to South America. Of course, the cultural links and the history. Of course, Brazil has very close links to Italy. This is something that goes back not only to my grandfather, but it goes back to Garibaldi, and so we are. I can say from my own experience that we have a very similar attitude to life. We have a very similar culture, and I speak that not only in terms of family values, in terms of religion values, but also in terms of business values. So our colleagues, and I have a German colleague here present, sometimes the Italians entrepreneurs, they have a little bit of a different culture than people in Northern Europe. I'm glad to say that we have a very similar culture. So even in terms of settling things good when apparently there is no solution, so flexibility, and so I think we are very close in terms of business culture as well. In my first slide, I give you a few data about the Brazilian economy. Of course, I don't have to repeat that to you. Brazil has been has been on the headlines and has been one of the main targets for foreign investment during the past few years. The bankers, foreign investors, industrialists, we received lots of consultations because the economy, after we have succeeded in stabilizing our economy, ending up inflation. So this is a change that has taken place during the last 15 years. So we can now say that Brazil has a stabilized economy, has a public deficit under control, so that is under control. The currency is relatively stable, inflation is under control, and moreover, not to forget that, institutionally as well, we have restored democracy for more than 20 years now, and I can tell you that institutionally speaking, we are really becoming a mature country. So, and this is something which seems to be very attractive to, especially to European investors who are used to a more, let's say, to a more mature environment in terms of institutions. So you've probably heard that we are now among the 10 biggest economies in the world. We have taken actually the 6th place from the UK last year. And so the economy has been growing a lot, especially since during the Lula years, our ex-president. So he served 2 consecutive terms as president of Brazil. The economy grew a lot during that time. Now the current incumbent as president is someone who had his support, was his main liaison now in terms of infrastructure projects. So Dilma Rousseff is trying a little bit to consolidate this heritage of the last 8 years of growth together with an stable economy. So this is just to give you a little bit of the background in terms of the size. So 6th economy in the world, a country of around 180 million people. So we are talking about a huge market for your products. And what brings me in today, and this will be the focus of the few words I will address to you this morning, is a little bit to materialize what has been addressed before by Mr. Martelli and by the Avvocati Enzo and Lorenzo. What is the opportunities in terms of procurement of tender offers in Brazil? Okay, so of course you've probably heard that Brazil is about to host the Olympics. We are about to host the World Cup, and this, together with the economic growth that we have experienced during the last year, this will require lots of investments in terms of infrastructure. So when I'm talking of infrastructure, I'm talking a little bit of roads, I'm talking of airports, I'm talking of hotels, and even if you are not a construction company, or even if you are not an airport operator, or even if you are not a hotel operator, of course, we know it from, let's say, from the experience we have in Brazil with Fiat, that when a big... okay, thank you. So when we have a big Italian player on the ground, it's only natural that his service providers, his suppliers in Italy will follow suit. So, for instance, Fiat went to Brazil about 30 years ago. It is located in my state of origin in Minas Gerais, and it went, let's say, alone in the beginning, but during the next years, all the Italian suppliers, all the part suppliers, they followed suit the company and went to Brazil as well. So we think this is something that will happen also in terms of infrastructure. So if you're not the hotel operator, perhaps you will provide the beds, perhaps you will provide the furniture that goes, that the hotel operator will need. So before this morning, we heard a little bit about the engines, the instruments you have to know about tender offers all around the world, not only Brazil. And what I wanted to give you here is just very few cases, concrete cases, to give you an idea of what we are talking about in terms of business. So I will try to go here. As you see, technology si sono giovani, però technology is not really the strong point. Okay, I think. Vista. Modalità. Okay, I'm learning. So this is a little bit of what I have already told you about the country, about the population, about the GDP. So I've mentioned already the investment opportunities that will come as a result of the World Cup and the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. So talking a little bit about numbers, the Ministry of Sports estimates that the country will need around 20 billion of investment just for the forthcoming years to support these two events. So 20 billion euro, needless to say, is a great amount of money. So it means it equals great business opportunities for everyone. So in hotels alone, we are talking about 700 million, ports and airports, 2 billion. So and the list goes down to lots of things. So fulfilling a little bit now my promise of talking about concrete opportunities and trying to illustrate a little bit what you may find on the search engines provided by Confindustria and by the European Development Bank. Perhaps not the European Development Bank because they do not cover Brazil, but you may find this on the Confindustria search engine. We now have a hotel and business center which is being developed in one of Rio de Janeiro's airport. So Rio de Janeiro, it's probably the most famous Brazilian city in the world. You probably heard of the Cristo Redentor. You've probably heard about the sugar loaf. By the way, the sugar loaf is on the back of this picture. And this specific opportunity I wanted to talk to you about is about a hotel and business center which will serve the local airport in Rio de Janeiro, which we call the airport Santos Dumont. So Rio de Janeiro, the city itself and its outskirts, we are talking about 12 million people living there. And the city is served by two main airports, a bigger airport which is more on the outskirts of the city, which is the airport of the Galeão, where you can fly regularly to Milan and you can fly regularly to Rome, if I'm not mistaken. And you have a local airport which does the main link with São Paulo, which is where our office is based, and which is today we could say the economic capital of the country. So this is a very busy airport. It serves. It has a very strategic location, as you can see. It sits in the middle of the Bay of Guanabara. Besides of a very nice view, you are also very close to downtown Rio de Janeiro. So if I may stand, this is the financial center of Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so the airport is here. Just to give you some touristic tips, Copacabana is here. Okay, and here you have lesser known beats. You have the Flamengo Park, Botafogo Park, the Rodrigo de Freitas Lagoon, and hidden behind that is the Girl of Ipanema, the Ipanema Beach, and etc. So Santos Dumont is really a very important airport. And what happens there is that we had in the past two airlines. One was a state airline from the state of São Paulo, and another private airline from the state of Rio Grande do Sul, who went bankrupt some 10 years ago, and they have two huge buildings here. If I'm not mistaken, they are located right here. So it's really beside the runway. And now, finally, they were able to clear these two buildings. And basically, the national public company, which is called Infraero, who takes care of airport infrastructure, is offering these two spaces for development. So basically, we're talking about a concession for 25 years to explore these two buildings. So basically, you have to refurbish it. You have to put everything which is needed to have a hotel in there, to have a business center in there, and you will be able to explore these two buildings for 25 years. Okay, so the approximate value of these tender offer, we are talking about 86 million euros, and the concession area, as you can see there, is huge. We are talking about 13,000 square meters. So it's a lot of space, and it's a huge opportunity for hotel operators and anyone who is interested in that area. Okay, so I know that this may sound too grandiose for many of you, but again, I think the idea here, of course, was just to give you a brief échantillon of what you may find in terms of opportunities in Brazil, and also please bear in mind that if you have a bigger Italian partner or a bigger partner somewhere else in Europe which might be interested in that, you may be able to go along as a service provider, as a good supplier, or something of that nature. Okay, so if I may, so now how I come back?
Go back.
Yeah. Okay. So we are finished. So although, just to give you a note about timing, we are talking about January next year. So we are really in a tight schedule here. It's perhaps even not realistic about participating in that tender, but this is something that may still be feasible, especially if you can envisage a consortium with a local Brazilian partner. Okay. So, next opportunity I would like to give you a note about is by the way, all the opportunities I will be speaking to you this morning, these are tender offers which are sponsored by the airport public company, by Infraero. So we have the hotel concession that I've just talked about, and now we have a more of an EPC project. Okay, it's really more a construction project. We are talking about the refurbishment and the enlargement of the international airport in Curitiba. So just to give you an idea in terms of where I'm talking about, Rio de Janeiro is right here, Curitiba is right here. Okay, So it's one of the biggest I could say that's perhaps the fifth or sixth biggest state economy in Brazil. So we are talking about Curitiba itself has over 1 million inhabitants. So we are talking about a city even bigger than Greater Bologna to come to a closer example here. And they wish to refurbish and enlarge this airport in Curitiba. Of course, one of the main reasons for doing that right now is, the economy is good, and Curitiba will be one of the host cities for the World Cup. But irrespective of that, only the growth that we have experienced in these recent years would more than justify the investment on the refurbishment and enlargement of this structure. So even though we tend to put some stress on Olympics and the World Cup, the economy in itself needs these inputs in terms of infrastructure. So, as I said, we are talking about renovation, enlargement of these of passengers terminal and the land strip as well. And it's a huge. We are talking about a huge work. We are talking about over 2 years of works on site. There is no estimated value so far. So basically, the Infraero will publish what she thinks is the correct estimate value by the time the tender offers, the offers are formalized in mid-December, and this is one huge opportunity. So before we are talking about more hotel operators, here I'm talking more about engineering construction companies, really. Another investment opportunity I would like to draw your attention to is a very similar project in a way. It's again an airport renovation and enlargement. We are talking about Belo Horizonte. Belo Horizonte is a city even bigger than Curitiba. It's a little bit smaller than Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, but it's still a very big city. Here we are putting 2.4 million people living there. Perhaps in the great Belo Horizonte you can go up to 3 million people living there. So again, if we go to the map, so this is Minas Gerais state, and Belo Horizonte is right on the heart of it. So, and by the way, Belo Horizonte, the Fiat factory in Brazil, is located in a city nearby, which is called Betim. So if you are visiting Fiat's headquarters in Brazil, you will use this airport that they are refurbishing and enlarging in the near future. So here we are talking about also renovation and expansion again. The public tender is here. The schedule is extremely tight. We are talking about the public tender will take place next week. But again, the idea was to give you some concrete examples that show that Brazil is the country of the future. Brazil, there is the World Cup. Brazil, there is the Olympic Games. And we hear about it a lot, but sometimes especially some foreign investors, they tend to say, well, there is always blah, 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 but in the end I'm not seeing any real, any concrete opportunities to that. So the idea was to give you a brief echantillon that shows that it's really for real, it's really happening, the opportunities are really there, and Italian industry is one of the main has been one of the main partners with Brazil in the past, both for historic and cultural reasons. And I hope that perhaps we can have the Italian infrastructure industry as well as one of our main partners in this effort that we are doing to enhance our infrastructure for these events and also for these forthcoming events, and also for the future as a whole, to allow the economy to grow in an even faster pace. So, in practical terms, all these examples that I've mentioned to you are tender offers which are open to foreign competitors. So if you are an Italian company and you still don't have a representative office or a branch in Brazil, it's not a problem. You could participate on that even without having a local presence so far. Okay. Of course, especially when we are talking about the engineering construction projects, you will probably be advised to have a local partner for that, especially, I mean, we are talking about huge works, and you will need some local expertise to be able to make these projects come true in case you are able to take them over. And but in very simple terms, if you had a desire to explore these possibilities today, the only thing you would need to do for the hotel concession, for instance, is just to appoint a local legal representative who would take care and represent you before the tender offer commission within Infraero. So this is something which is fairly straightforward. This is something that can be done. For the construction projects, it's a little bit more cumbersome, because since you will need to show that you have previous expertise with similar construction projects, you will also have to do a sort of interim registration with the Engineers Association in Brazil. But again, you don't need a local presence to have that, so you can explore this opportunity without having a local office, without having a local subsidiary, without establishing a local branch. And in the case you are able to win this over, then you can set up a local branch or set up a local subsidiary as the business may require. So for exploring the possibilities, we are not talking about that you have to establish a branch right now, establish a subsidiary right now. You can explore these possibilities without having a local presence. All you will need for the moment will be a local legal representative that can take care of the paperwork for you. Okay. So this is a little bit of what I wanted to talk to you about. I will take these. I'm almost running out of time, but I will talk a little bit of our collaboration with Bacciardi and Partners, and I will take the advantage of it to talk a little bit about my firm as well. So Boccuzzi is a boutique firm. So we are about 20 people at all. We are 5 partners. I handle most of the international clients with with my partner Eduardo Boccuzzi. In spite of our names, neither of us speak very good Italian. Eduardo allora intenta di imparare un po' l'italiano, even if his father is a natural of Puglia, but so he's skipping the dialect, so he's just sticking to the real Italian, and he used to is a funny thing that I didn't know about that before I met Eduardo, is that there is a Circolo Italiano in São Paulo. It has been established for quite a long, and he learned about it when he was still in law school, and his father moved to Brazil just after the war. So, and he thought that, wow, it would be nice if my father could meet some fellow Italians in the Circolo Italiano and etc. So he invited his father one day for one of the meetings. And then he realized that his father was not at all comfortable in speaking Italian. He was pretty much on the Pugliese dialect, but that's just a side story. So we are a boutique law firm. We are about 20 lawyers, 5 partners. So we are of a little bit smaller size than our colleagues here from Pesaro. And the idea, in practical terms, is that if you find an opportunity, either by the engines that are made available to you by Coffee Industria, or we are able to perhaps present a flyer, some tentative opportunities that we may have in the foreseeable future, and this might be of interest to you, is that our firms could work together. So you would always have someone here on spot in Italy that you could speak to. You will have someone in Brazil that we would be also able to speak to, but you don't need to speak directly if you don't want to. So you will always have someone here in near your offices to speak to, and that will ensure that the work that we may have to do for you in Italy, in Brazil, it will be well done, and that we will get some proper feedback on that. So this is the very few things I wanted to say to you this morning. Of course, questions. I know I was a little bit fast in my speech, but of course questions are very welcome. And so I thank you for your attention, and give the word back to Lorenzo.
Marco, thank you very much for your speech. You can tell from the applause that it was very much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming and for the speech and for staying with us in the afternoon and tomorrow. We are pretty much on schedule, and I would therefore like to pass the stage on to Thomas Brand. Thomas is a dear colleague from Moscow. In reality, will tells you that he has ties with Europe, more than ties, I would say, but it's always a good match, at least according to our more than probably 25 years experience doing business abroad and assisting clients abroad doing business. It's always a good match to have someone who has a Western education and way of dealing with the business opportunities, doing its work and providing its assistance in the countries such as Russia, where things might be a little bit different. Presentation, we have checked it, so this is working. I can tell you for sure, because when Marco was speaking, I was checking Thomas' presentation just to make sure that we would have no problem whatsoever, and the presentation works. So I was saying simply that Thomas is operating now for many years in Russia, particularly in Moscow, but he will tell you that they have networks and ramifications also nearby in the neighboring countries, nearby Russia. I will leave the stage to Thomas. Thank you, Thomas, again for coming. And thank you.
Yes, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to see that not only in Germany but also in Italy and other European countries there is so much interest for the countries we have already talked about, but also for Russia. I'm not Russian, as you can tell from my name. I'm German. But I've been practicing as a lawyer for 15 years in Russia. I was the managing partner of a bigger German law firm for many years, and 3 years ago I decided to set up my own law firm with a Russian partner. Our law firm is called Binetsky, Brandt and Partner. Binetsky is the Russian partner, Brandt, that's me. We are also a boutique law firm, 15 lawyers in Moscow, and we have a little office in Minsk in Belarus where we have 2 lawyers, and mainly focusing on Russian business law. So corporate law, tax law, real estate, litigation, general commercial, and labor and employment immigration law. Yes, as I said, I've been doing business in Russia or advising clients for the last 15 years. Now we are advising around, or we have around 250 clients that we are servicing in Russia. Mainly, of course, German clients, Austrian clients, but we also have some Italian clients, Japanese clients, no Brazilian clients so far. And they are active in very, very many different areas. They also differ from size. We have big corporations as clients, but we have a lot of mid-sized business. As you might know, German economy is really strong regarding mid-sized business. The opportunities in Russia, we're not only talking about oil and gas and big projects. I think there are lots of opportunities for all companies, at least if they are ready to go to the market and if they have good products. As you see, we are also a small firm with 15 lawyers and 20 people altogether, and so we are also mid-sized or even small, and we are also doing successful business in Russia. I'm the only German lawyer in our law firm as managing partner. The rest of my colleagues are Russian qualified lawyers, but also with European LLMs. They speak English and German, of course. I'm actually trying to learn Italian because I'm here like 5-6 times a year in Tuscany, but I wouldn't like to present now in Italian. I think the level is too low yet. Okay, maybe let me start with the picture you see. This is a new complex in the center of Moscow, Moscow city. Skyscrapers were built over the last 8 years due to the crisis in 2008. A lot of construction has stopped, but was restarted again over the last 2 years. There were big investments and a lot of foreign companies involved in construction, Turkish, Italian, German, but of course also Russian companies. And actually, I don't know which tower it is, but one of our clients, Josef Gardner, they are specialists in doing facades, glass facades. I think they're even world leader, but being a mid-sized company. And they are building one of the tops here, I mean, making the glass facades for a Russian oligarch who owns the last 24 floors or so. And that was a really big order. And there's also the Gazprom Tower built in St. Petersburg, and this client, they also won the private tender to build the facade. That's a very big agreement, over 300 million they concluded recently. And besides this, maybe because we are talking about real estate, we have been advising on many real estate projects. Our clients are inter alia construction companies, but also planning bureaus, architects, actually everybody who's involved in construction in the widest sense. I've been working for Hochtief a couple of years ago and for Strabag. Recently I had contact to Emblemia, that's the biggest Swiss construction company. They also have projects in Russia regarding the World Cup in 2018. But I will get into details a little bit later. Let me maybe start with a little overview. I didn't really do my homework too good because I prepared the presentation while being here in Italy. It was very difficult. But let me really, in brief, give you an overview on Russian economy, because that means also what are your opportunities. We are the biggest country in the world, as you all might know, and it's quite interesting how big the country really is. One story I can tell is I was in Japan 2 years ago, and when we flew from Moscow to Tokyo, I slept, but on the way back I was awake, and we started in Tokyo by plane, and it took us 55 minutes to get onto Russian territory, and the other 10.5 hours we flew over Russia to Moscow. So the country is really, really huge, and the opportunities I think must be huge as well. And if you see at the population, 142 million, that's the biggest population I think in Europe. Moscow with almost 13 million people is the business center in Russia, so almost every investment somehow goes through Moscow. St. Petersburg is also quite interesting for foreign investors, and also sometimes other cities in the provinces, but I would say that most business goes through Moscow. So if you're really planning to do business in Russia, you will sooner or later end up in Moscow. What does not mean that you will not also have presence in other cities or in the provinces. We have, for example, a lot of clients that are producing in Russia. That's also from a real estate perspective quite interesting, because we're advising them on how to set up greenfield projects, brownfield projects as well. And Moscow is very expensive, also the region around Moscow. So from a cost perspective, to build and construct and produce next to Moscow, that's only feasible, I think, for really big projects. And therefore, lots of clients are in the provinces. We have different industry clusters, the automotive industry, for example, in Samara, Togliatti, named after the Italian communist, I think he was, Togliatti. Other clusters, chemical industry has its own cluster area where they are located. This comes from Soviet tradition. So, and what is also important maybe, Russia might seem far away for you, but it's only 3 hours flight. So it's actually very close. And the connections from all big Italian airports are quite well, actually. Political system. I don't know what is written about Russia in the Italian press. I can only tell what is written in the German or Austrian or Swiss press. The press is very negative. They're always telling the bad stories about a businessman being shot and corruption and so on. Of course, all these factors do exist to a certain extent, but the country is very stable, and all of my clients, they are doing really well. They have normal business, they are paying out dividends, they don't have big problems with the tax authorities or with the administration. So I would say what you read and hear, probably also in the Italian press about Russia, might not be wrong completely, but it doesn't give a full picture. And I think is what you really need to know. In Russia you have a political stable system. Putin is president again, and he will stay president for the next 10 years. The legal system also is doing quite well. You have legal security. The courts are working quite good. Not always, of course, because corruption is something that can matter. but does not matter in every case. So we are going to court quite often because that's one of our focuses. And most of the litigation we are doing is done as in Europe, and sometimes even faster. So the message I want to give is don't be afraid. You can do business in Russia, and it will be better because the reforms that are currently put on its way are quite intense. Yeah? We talk, for example, also about a reform of the whole real estate sector. The whole cadastre is being changed. It's all electronically made. And we are also in the strategic group next to the president. We are advising the Russian government how to change the laws. It's quite interesting that they are interested in us because we have the international background and no other legal systems. And therefore, I'm quite sure that what has been achieved over the last 20 years is good, but it will become better. If you look at the statistics, for example, the Doing Business report of the World Bank, which is very prominent actually, and we are also contributing our know-how to this report in the real estate sector. My colleague does that, not myself. Russia has improved already. They are now on rank 112, climbing from 123, which is actually not very good. But they improved, and Putin this year when he became president, said that he wanted that Russia will be under the top 20, I think in the next 6 years. That will not happen, for sure. I think it's a long way for Russia to the top, but they are working hard on it. And I think they will succeed, and they will also be under the eight biggest economies in the world in at least 15, 20 years, that's for sure. The country is so rich, they have oil and gas, they have natural resources, they have really good people. I'm quite sure that this is the market where all European companies have to go if they have the adequate product, of course. Not everybody can sell in Russia. But I think the chances are very good. Between Germany and Russia, we have the partnership of modernization, yeah? Which actually means, in short words, they give us gas, we give them know-how and technique. The Russians cannot produce high-quality international products. That's unfortunately like that. For the time being, they are working on it, but not too hard. They're a little bit laid back because the oil is just easier to sell, and they are not good in research and development. But still, what does it mean for foreigners? It's a big opportunity because we have the know-how here, we have the technique, also Italian companies. And if you have good products, they are welcome in Russia, even if they are more costly than Chinese products, for example. So I think Italians are welcome as all the other Europeans, and the ties between Italy and Russia are very close. If you look back in history, for example, in Moscow, the Orthodox churches, which are like from the 13th, 14th century, they were mostly designed by Italian architects, which is quite interesting. And you have a lot of Italian construction companies as well doing business in Russia. For example, I checked the internet because I don't have these clients. Astaldi, which is one of the biggest construction companies, and they, for example, together with a big Turkish construction company, won the tender to build the Pulkovo airport in St. Petersburg, and they also won the tender for building the highway between Moscow and St. Petersburg. Similar to Brazil, actually, we also host the Olympic Games next year, and Russia will host World Championship in 2018. That means, as we have heard, infrastructure, hotels, and many, many others. One maybe particularity is it's sometimes not so easy to get into such projects. Yeah? Of course, there are tender procedures, and I will tell about that later. But I would say for real estate, the market is quite closed. Yeah? You can get into it, as we have seen, if you work hard on it, and if you're better than the Russians. Yeah? But for example, if you look at Sochi, there are almost no foreign companies that won the major tenders. They are suppliers or making project management. For example, one of our clients, they are making project management, it's a German project management company. Or Emplenia, the Swiss construction company, they also want to get into Sochi projects, but the general manager told me it's almost impossible. And they will give you only the piece of the cake they want to give you. But not always, yeah. So if they need you, if they see that they need you, they will also hire you. Yeah, Italy and Germany among top 10 investors in Russia. So Italian economy is strong in Russia. What is important? I said Russia is not as bad as you might think if you read the press here in the West. But normally when I hold longer presentations than this one, I have a slide saying what are the investment obstacles, what is bad about Russia, where are the risks. And the main risk, sounds maybe a little bit strange, but after 15 years I think I can say that because practice has proven the biggest risk is the investor himself. Because many companies that are interested in the Russian market want to go to Russia, they do not do their homework. Yeah? They do not know the legal system, the tax system, also the differences in culture, how to treat people correctly, yeah? How to do business in general in Russia. So what I can say right now here in front of you is if you plan to go to Russia and you can only do business in Russia on a serious level if you go to Russia. Yeah? So if you set up your representative office or a subsidiary or you have a permanent representative, we have heard that for tenders, that is really representing your interest, you will have to think about how to properly access the Russian market. The market is not so easy. You have to know how it works. Then you can be on the safe side. You can do business in a normal fashion and be successful. But if you don't make your homeworks, I've seen also clients that were in the market, they did a lot of mistakes, and then their investment crashed. Yeah? So you have to be really careful. It's more complicated than in the European Union, for sure. In particular because a lot of laws are quite fresh and new. For example, if you look at the concession law, yeah, which is very important for public-private partnerships, or also for construction actually, or the city planning code, the whole real estate sector. Now we have amendments to the civil code. The second reading will be in December, and there will be huge changes to the whole real estate sector. I mean, I'm not talking about contracts, but other legal regulations. So you always have to be up to date. Yeah? Things are changing quite often and quickly, and you have to have that in focus. It's not as bad as 10, 15 years ago. Soviet Union ceased to exist 20 years ago, and over the first 10 years, everything was newly implemented. Now it's different. We have the basic laws, but still there are lots of changes going on because Russian politics see they need to be compatible on a worldwide level, and they are not always, and they are working hard. What is an issue is compliance and corruption. There's an organization, Transparency International. They are also making a ranking, and I think Russia is somewhere one place before or after Burkina Faso, so not really on a good rank. Yeah, they are doing really bad, well, sometimes I compare Russia with theater. You don't know if what is going on the scene is really what is happening, or that everything is happening behind the scene. Last week, President Putin fired the Minister of Defense because they revealed that they There were corruption cases, and I really don't know or understand whether this is a serious fight against corruption, or if just the team was changed so that others have the opportunity to do the same things. So whether the fight with corruption is seriously or not, I don't know. Sometimes I hope yes, sometimes I'm afraid it's not changing really, because the figures haven't really decreased over the last years. And this is also a big problem when we are talking about big construction projects and also about public tenders. Yeah? There is a very nice website for all state tenders, and it's open for everybody. Also foreigners can participate in tenders if they have the proper set of documents. But one problem is, for example, I don't know, can I switch on the internet here? Where is it? Where's the web? Where's the web? It's also a quite new law on state tenders. It's only 7 years old. It was introduced in 2005, and we have a quite new law on concession law, public-private partnership, that has recently been changed because the law, as it was not bankable, and now it's bankable. Okay, it's quite slow. So why am I showing this slide to you? First of all, it's very interesting because there's a lot of information in it, which is actually quite good. It all looks very transparent, modern. Unfortunately, it's only in Russian. Yes. So that would be the first obstacle for you, probably, that you would need to employ a Russian citizen or Russian-speaking person in your company if you would be interested in winning state tenders. And the other thing is, I think Russians are very creative and they are very good in putting something together, and it's about, again, the theater, and then it looks perfect, but in reality something completely different happens. And this is the same, I would say, for lots of tenders. Because if there's money involved, still you have to share. Yeah? That's a fact. And also these tender commissions that exist, normally in one way or the other, you will tell them that you want to give something if you're not compliant, otherwise you will be asked. And if you are compliant, then you will probably not get you will not win the tender unless there's a really special situation. So compliance is really a big issue, and mostly Russian companies do win such tenders, but also Western companies that have their subsidiaries in Russia. For example, Siemens won a big contract last week, 2 weeks ago, from Russian railways to build wagons and all this. And they are compliant. I know the CEO of Siemens Russia, and I'm also actually a member of the board of the German-Russian Business Association, which is the biggest foreign business association in Russia. And we had a meeting with the German Minister of Economy 2 weeks ago. He was in Moscow with Angela Merkel. And as a member of the board, I also had to talk about legal system in Russia. And compliance was an issue. And Mr. Möller, who's the head of Siemens Russia, confirmed really that they are compliant. I would also say that, of course, in front of a minister. But I think it's true. If you have good products and the Russians know they need it, they will also let you win a tender. Yeah. So this side is very interesting. I don't know if internet translation will help you. So if you're really interested in getting into tenders, you need to employ somebody. That's quite easy. So, how can I make that big again? Oops. I'm also not a technician. Yes. Oh yeah, I saw this sign before. What is also happening quite often in different sectors, in particular if we are talking about also infrastructure projects, roads or waste collection or water cleaning, that you have joint venture situations. Yeah? And I've been advising on joint ventures for many, many years, and lots of my clients, they do joint ventures. Yeah? Also in order to be compliant. Yeah? This is another long story, but you shouldn't be afraid of doing a joint venture with a Russian partner if you do it in the correct way. And actually, there has been a new legal form introduced on 1st of July, economical partnership, which is very good for joint ventures. And currently, there are changes on the way to Russian corporate law, which foresee that you can make shareholders agreements and secure your rights as investors. So don't be afraid of joint ventures. Okay, I already mentioned, I think, most of this. One other thing, I talked about the cultural differences. What I see from my clients is that good employees, good Russian employees, are a key factor to success. Lots of my clients still have expats, yeah? So Germans, Italians sent to Russia to be in the management position or in one management position. But I would say at least 50% they're really working with local management. And the share of foreigners, expats, being managers in subsidiaries is going down. And to find good employees is not always easy. Language barrier is often a point, and also the international approach. So you have to really, if you start a business in Russia, you have to be very careful when choosing people. What I've learned that, I mean, Russia is very extreme in all senses. It's very cold in the winter, it's very warm in the summer. We have 150,000 millionaires and 80 billionaires in Moscow, but we have the old babushka sitting on the street begging for money or bread. So it's very extreme, and the employees, they can be very good, but they can also be very bad, which means they are not compliant. Yeah, you cannot trust them, so you really have to check them before you hire them. Short overview again about tenders. I will not go into the details here, but these are the main websites. Where we were on zakupki.gov.ru, which is really comprehensive and gives a lot of information on tender procedures, which tenders exist, and also the possibility to submit your tender documentation electronically. But you will have to have electronic signature as well in order to do that, which is actually quite complicated in Russia. So when talking about tenders, yes, it's possible. You can do it as a foreign company if you can actually access these sites, if you know Russian, if you have a Russian representative in Russia, that helps you. Otherwise, you will probably not make it. Also, you can submit documents electronically, but you have to submit them also as a hard copy. Yeah? And for example, if you do that by Russian post, the chances are 50-50 that they will arrive. and 80-20 that they will arrive not in time. So theory, the website, and practice, there's a huge difference, and you have to be really careful when trying to participate in such tenders. Yeah, that's it. A brief overview about doing business in Russia. And I think this afternoon we will go more into the legal details also. I'm open for questions, of course, now or during the coffee break. And yeah, thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Allora, abbiamo finito la sessione antimeridiana, ci rivediamo alle 14, abbiamo sforato di qualche minuto, quindi qualche minuto di ritardo nella ripresa è concesso, però vi preghiamo vivamente di non andare oltre le 14:15, se possibile 14:15, 14:20, perché il pomeriggio abbiamo una serie di altre attività altrettanto importanti e che costituiscono l'esplicazione e la continuazione del lavoro di stamattina. Ecco, prima di chiudere un minuto solo, visto che siete stati pazienti fino ad ora, vi invito a, lo riprenderemo oggi pomeriggio, vi invito a considerare questo. Le opportunities di tender, di investimenti, di operazioni che sono state prospettate stamattina, molto interessanti e molto anche di dimensioni molto estese, sono ovviamente attività che non potranno essere gestite in prima persona come main contractor da parte delle aziende, di tutte le aziende italiane e marchigiane. Però dovete considerare una cosa, che dietro ad ogni tender si apre una miriade di sub-tender, subcontractors, subforniture che possono benissimo coinvolgere tutte le aziende del territorio. Pensate a tutte le costruzioni che sono state anticipate per quanto riguarda le attività olimpiche, eccetera, ma pensate in un albergo o in un'altra struttura quante cose potremmo fornire, a partire dai mobili, ma a partire dagli impianti, gli ascensori voglio citare per qualcuno, o qualsiasi altra subfornitura che completa il progetto principale. Quindi non vi fermate al dato, perché la strategia, vedremo oggi nel pomeriggio, sta proprio in questo, nel creare le condizioni per accedere non tanto e non solo come main contractor, ma per accedere in qualità di subappaltatori e quindi ritagliarsi un'assegnazione di un segmento del tender principale che comunque soddisfa notevolmente le aspettative e i volumi economici delle nostre imprese. Buon pranzo, ci vediamo alle 14:15, 14:20.